charts. Every number one for rated thread in the press. Ow! Every number one on the orange owl. Every number one for rated thread in the press. Every number one on the orange charts. Every number one for rated thread in the press. Ow! Every number one on the orange charts. Every number one for rated thread in the press. And every thread in the press. Wow! Yowza!
Hello, I'm Ben.
Hello, I'm Tom.
And this is Sunglasses at Night podcast. Once again, no idea what the episode number is. I'm going to say 16 or something.
Sure.
But the year is 1997.
97.
Fantastic. What a great year. Look, we're fast approaching the end of the millennium, but not just yet. Not just yet. So still got a couple of years of 90s action to go. Big news this year, Tom. Hong Kong returned to China.
It did, yes, it did.
So they had 99 years of good times, and then after 97, a few years of probably all right times, and recently some shit times, and I predict it's going to get even shitter. So I don't know.
Pity about that. It took a bit longer than people predicted at the time. I remember people at the time were trying to figure out whether it was just going to immediately get turned back into full-on communist state, but
took about 20 years, and now we're back into that sort of action now. Look, can I just say, Tom, on the record that I am pro Hong Kong democracy. I know that means that this won't show up on Chinese iTunes or WeChat or whatever the fuck it is they have over there. So, unfortunately, sorry Chinese fans, you probably won't be able to listen to this anymore unless you have like a VPN or can hack the system or whatever, because I know that making any sort of pro-democracy, Hong Kong, Taiwan, Tibet stance gets you kicked off. This will be eliminated from the Chinese internet.
Yeah. Oh, and also the chairman of their country looks like Winnie the Pooh.
Don't say that, Tom. We don't want to get doubly kicked off. He does look like Winnie the Pooh.
I forgot to say... Sorry.
No, sorry, go,
I forgot to actually say that this is Sunglasses at Night, the podcast where we look back at a year in musical history via the Australian Recording Industry Association charts, also known as the ARIAs, and ask what the hell was going on.
Correct, exactly.
Always.
Just to get that in there. We have an Instagram page now, Tom, called Sunglasses at Night podcast, and on there, I just post a photo of something of the year.
If people want to look at the YouTube links for the songs, where can they get them from?
The links
are they attached to the podcast?
They are, yeah. In the podcast description, there's I've done it on YouTube because I feel like you're probably going to watch. Well, you need to watch those videos.
It makes sense. Yeah. And some of the podcasting sites don't attach the text thing anyway. So.
And on the Instagram, there's a link tree. And on that link tree, one of the links is to the YouTube. So So it's just got all the playlists from 83 up until now, so you can watch all the great videos.
Boom, Shake the Room.
Boom, Shake the Room.
Joe Benotti.
Yeah, exactly right.
Benotti, Rasta style.
Yeah, for sure. Snow, Informers on there.
Colette. That's actually a pretty good one.
Yep, all the hits. She's wearing washing up gloves, I think, in that music video, I believe Colette is. But yeah, so all the videos. So I think podcasts do like some social media bullshit. That's about as much as we're going to do.
Sure.
Can't be fucked. But just look at that if you want. And so there's some other shit on there too. To some links that are just, I don't know, fuck, who knows? What do people do? I'm not sure. What we're doing though is talking ARIA charts. Before we get into that, biggest film of the year, Tom, I believe was MIB, Men in Black.
Yes.
Yes. So that was the biggest box office of the year, I believe. It took in $500 million, a bit more than that.
I can't remember exactly what it was, but it represented some sort of unprecedented level of public relations / publicity thing.
Oh, okay.
I mean, there'd been movies that were promoted heavily beforehand, but that was it was like they'd used a new team or something like that, and it was just this worldwide massive publicity blitz on TV for months beforehand, not just showing the trailers endlessly, but showing like making of docos about it and promos with the stars on the set talking about, and then they tried to, and it was so successful that then they tried to do it again with Wild Wild West.
Oh, and that
demonstrated that as well. You still need a film that's not shit
exactly.
to make it work. It also demonstrated something that was handy to learn at the age of 19, which is that if you watch 400 different previews for a film, when the film comes out, you won't enjoy it very much at the time because you will have seen all of the good parts recently.
Yeah, exactly. You've seen it all. Yep. So
I'm sure millennials learn that from the womb these days, but a bit slower for us.
Just watch no trailers. I think it's probably the way to go. So yeah, look, that was the biggest film of the year. Titanic did come out in December of 1997. So
Cover that next year.
It'll be. I mean, that film was. I think that played at the Village 4 in Launceston for about 12 months, which is unprecedented.
That was crazy.
It was
like
just
the fucking 70s again, when Star Wars had played for a year or some shit.
Exactly. So it was completely crazy. So yeah. But anyway, we will get to talk about Men in Black a little bit later on, Tom. I don't want to give away any spoilers, but I think that the theme song, also titled Men in Black, may feature later on.
Sure.
So there's a little bit, just for the listeners there, just to whet your appetite, a little bit of that, something to look forward to later on. That's what they do on the radio, don't they? Like, coming up, we've got a Rockset triple play. So they sort of whet the listeners' appetite. So that's what we're doing. Coming up, there'll be Men in Black discussion. So I don't know. If you don't want to know about Men in Black, then you'll probably just skip it. So
I think you might have just unlocked one of the problems with the whole radio station idea of doing ads.
Doing ads, yeah. It's
no, of saying coming
up.
Because if you don't want to hear it, then it's like saying turn the radio station off. And if you do want to hear it, it's annoying because now you know that they're not going to play it for half an hour.
You've got to wait 45 minutes to hear Joyride. It's like, Spotify fucking exists. I can listen to it right now if I want to. Who listens to the radio in 2021? I mean, who the fuck has any time for the radio? I
People
can't.
who have been trapped in a 7-Eleven during a zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
think, when the only thing to listen to is two different, slightly 1 second delayed versions of Nova playing from either end of the store.
Jeez. Look, if there is a zombie apocalypse, I hope I'm in Coles because I thoroughly enjoy Coles Radio. We've mentioned it before. We don't have a sponsor with this show, Tom, but if Coles came knocking and said, we'll give you some money, I'd talk about Coles Radio, not for the money, just because I genuinely enjoy their hit mix of yesterday and today.
I personally prefer Chicken Feed Radio, which is basically Cliff Richard songs interspersed with chicken feed ads, involve a chicken screeching at you in a high-pitched voice.
Yeah, I know. I miss Chicken Feed, R.I.P.
The only thing better than Chicken Feed Radio was Chicken Feed Christmas Radio, which was Cliff Richard Christmas songs interspersed with ads for Chicken Feed featuring a chicken screeching at you and jingle bells.
Look, if you don't know what Chicken Feed is, it's like the Tasmanian equivalent of like the Reject Shop or like $2 shops, but just with the most fucking obnoxious ads that have existed. It's just that chicken song, and it's just oh goodness. Anyway, unfortunately, they went out of business. I think they shut it down of their own accord, and now they have Shiploads, which is an even wackier sort of. Play on words, I guess. So it's good. It sounds like shitloads, but it's shiploads. Get it? It works at a couple of levels, I guess. So
it does.
Yeah. Anyway, it's pretty good. So next time you're in Launceston or Hobart, just pop on into Shiploads
and ask them, well, what happened to Chicken Feed?
Yeah, exactly. You will be let out of the shop.
Walk out and discuss.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. So look, 1997, let's get into it.
Sure.
First 2 weeks of the year, we've got 2 more weeks of the Spice Girls Wannabe.
Yes, 11 weeks in total, but most of them were last year.
Yeah, we talked about it last year. Look, I think one thing that slipped my mind last week, Tom, was that we failed to talk about girl power.
Yes.
So Spice Girls are all into the girl power. But I remember in the early 90s when girl power was sort of more of like a alt-rock, Bikini Kill,
that was
sort
more
of
the
right girl.
Girl. They seemed like a kind of popified version of that.
So right girl was sort of right girl and girl power, not quite the same thing, but right girl sort of they're sort of trying to embody that image of power, women power, and also at live music gigs, trying to get rid of the shit. These days we just hate fucking cunts at live music video venues that try and touch chicks' cans. But in the early 90s, it seemed that people
apparently
just assumed it was fair. Yeah,
idea.
exactly.
Yeah.
So anyway, the Right Girl was sort of, trying to promote, I guess, just safe spaces for concerts and, make it feel like
also,
a more...
It was also mixed up with the sort of the second wave feminism thing, idea of just like anything dudes can do, girls can do as well. So if all the punk bands are all misogynist pricks near you, then start your own punk band and go up. But don't complain about it. Go on stage and fucking rock out, and and if guys are attacking you in the crowd than bring a baseball bat.
Indeed.
I'm not saying it was a flawless system,
No.
but I kind of admired it. I liked its sort of straightforward ballsiness to it.
So the Spice Girls took that and then just stripped away any sort of meaning or actual desire to promote, I guess, certain ideals, and just would run around going, girl power, what does it mean? Girl power.
As several
bullshit.
Of the older kind of feminists around at the time pointed out, every public appearance they dressed in sort of fairly minimal
provocative
clothes, which often, when not actively sort of, sexualising for their audience of tween girls largely, but also could be taken as just a way of selling outfits and looks and haircuts and that sort of thing in it.
Yeah, exactly.
Have you ever seen Josie and the Pussycats?
I have, yeah.
That's really funny. That whole film is kind of about that idea of, like, it seems a bit passé now because bands, the idea of an all-powerful music publishing company seems a bit ridiculous. There's a whole bunch of 70s and 80s films that are based around that idea as well. Yeah. The Apple, that whole thing is about a music company that takes over the world. There's a fucking...
That film's fucking bananas.
Watch this 80s really cool, well-done cartoon the other day, but the whole... Again,
Empire Records.
Empire Records, yeah. These fucking... The man's out of control. He's controlling your life. And he tells you how to think and he tells you how to dress and stuff. But anyway, Josie and the Pussycats is sort of the end of that, and that features that whole concept of... It's to the point where it quite cleverly takes the piss out of it, and almost every scene in the film has advertising in it at a subconscious level, as in the idea that all of the bands are selling something whether they want to or not, just where they're standing and what they're doing at any time. But anyway.
Exactly. So look, I guess... Yeah. So if you want to know what Spice Girls Girl Power was, it was just them saying girl power. It was no deeper.
Pretty much. And I guess you could say that basic men you think of wannabe of just that idea of, like, your friends are more... Don't sell out your mates for some dickhead boy, which is kind of... I guess,
hose before bros,
hose
I think.
Bros,
that's what they did. So
I forgot to ask last week, though. Who was your favourite Spice Girl?
Oh, look, that's a really good question. Probably Scary Spice.
I think so.
I think probably because... she had a child with Eddie Murphy. That seemed pretty good.
She seemed like she was having possibly the most fun.
Yeah, exactly. I think I probably like Scary Spice the most. So
I quite like Gassy Spice.
Gassy Spice?
She was tough to share an elevator with, but she was fun at parties.
Was that...
No Underwear Spice. She was quite good too.
Yeah, I think that was just Jerry Halliwell, wasn't it? I think it's from the stories last week, I believe. Didn't they just steal each other's underwear and throw it out the window? So... They might have all been underpants.
Well, Scary Spice is definitely not wearing a bra in Wannabe. It's obvious enough to the point where, it was in one on the Wikipedia page was talking about the video. It said it was really fucking cold in that building, which had some sort of unintended results.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
But so if you're wearing a crop top in a tiny little building in a freezing cold old stone building, running around England in the middle of winter, maybe wear a bra, I suppose.
Yeah, but look, that's girl power, Tom, isn't it? You don't let the man. You don't want to listen to us white guys
because you've burnt it. Yeah, that's
exactly,
right.
Exactly right. So I think maybe there was a bit more to girl power than I sort of acknowledged. So apologies, Spice Girls. So
it's good to see that I'm being super pervy on the first song of the year as well. I'm sure that won't continue through the year.
Oh, it will with the next song, Tom. That's Savage Garden to the Moon and Back. Wowzers. So this is the first one for this year. New song, 1 week. Look, I tell you what I like about Savage Garden, Tom. I'm going to tell you right now. Mm-hmm. These dudes, they showed up out of nowhere. No one had fucking heard of them before.
Yep.
They came along, they released some songs, had some hits. They were fucking everywhere for about 2 years. You could not avoid these guys. They were all over the place. And then they just fucked off.
I know, right? It's crazy. They couldn't... It's just two dudes, Darren Hayes and the other one.
Daniel Jones.
Daniel Jones, not Daniel Johns.
That sounds too much like Daniel Jones.
They could not get arrested in Australian music publishing. They sent out 150 tapes until they found one guy who believed in them enough to release one single, which was... that Chica Cherry Cola song, whatever the fuck that's called.
Oh, yeah.
My friend Erica had it.
Ooh, I want you.
That one, yes. And then they only had two albums. Yep. Two albums. They were around from 93 to 2001 in total, so 8 years or less.
Yep.
And they sold 23 million fucking albums.
Yep.
Two dudes from suburban Queensland somehow fucking hitting like,
Absolutely, Tom. And
yeah,
you say
Lady Gaga sales figures, 2 records.
And you say 93 to 2001, but what we got to realise is that the first 4 of those years is just them trying to get the record deal.
Yeah,
like them
that's
actually
right.
being in the public
Oh, yeah,
probably wasn't until this song.
Yeah,
so
that's from when they met to when they broke up. Like that.
So I reckon there's probably about 4 years, 1997 to 2000, 2001, where they were active. So, and look, I absolutely respect that. There's nothing worse than someone coming along, making a bit of a bang, and then just being total dog shit for 20 years. They come along, one song, and then they just stick around, overstick their welcome. They burn up all their goodwill, and you just have to listen to that bullshit in supermarkets for 50 years. I hate that. So respect to Savage Garden. Good on you guys for just getting out when you're at the top of the game. What bands do you wish just came along for one album and then fucked off into eternity forever?
Albums.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking maybe, seeing as what the effect that Fame seemed to have on him, I was thinking maybe it is a good thing that Morrissey and the Smiths were only around for 4 albums, about this same length of time, but they had 4 albums instead of
Well, people
2.
used to release an album every year, I think. In
That's right.
But
just Fame doesn't seem to have a salutary effect on some people.
Yeah, look, you're right. I think this is probably the first time anyone will compare the Smiths to Savage Garden, but certainly they both existed in that short period of time.
I think people, especially in the 90s, this is it's not pre-internet, but it's pre-internet music sales, really. If you're not from Australia, you may not understand how fucking crazy it was that this happened. Like, it had been nearly a decade at this point since the big 80s Australian bands.
Yep.
And it, Men at Work and stuff. And that was looked at now as a fad, this publishing fad. Australians had been briefly popular in America, music, and then they'd gone away, and now nobody gave a fuck. And you would have the occasional outlier, like Kylie might pop up, or Bruce Samazan, perhaps, who later went on to become a world-striding musical colossus. But generally, they went the way of every single other person off Home and Away, e.g. they had 1.5 singles and then fucked off. There was no X Factor back then, so there was none of that shit. So for 2 suburban dudes to just go, you know what, we're going to sort of almost semi-self-publish ourselves and then get on a plane and fly over to America and sell 23 million records.
Yep.
And then, it was just literally unheard of.
Absolutely right. So, look, Tom, to answer my own question, Maroon 5.
Oh, okay.
I wish that they probably
definitely
just stopped. I mean, not that they were good to begin with, but I think that those guys, Coldplay.
Sure.
I wish that Coldplay had just quit
enough.
literally after 1 or 2 songs. And the Black Eyed Peas.
Yes. Before Fergie joined the band.
Yeah, they really needed to give it away because those guys are all the bane of my existence. Because I still watch Rage with my kids of a morning, and you won't hear them for a while, and then all of a sudden Maroon 5 will pop up, and there'll be like 4 songs in the charts for about 8 months. Coldplay, they've always been terrible. Black Eyed Peas, they're garbage. And I'll add Ed Sheeran to that list as well.
Please.
It'd be good if he just gave it away
that's
after
2 albums too many.
Absolutely. So, look, that's who I think. Look, what I like about this song, Tom, is that Savage Garden, they're musical historians. They know what they're talking about. They draw from the past and channel it through their own thing and then project it into the future. So they knew that Proclaimers would walk 500 miles and then they'd walk 500 more to be out your door. Savage Garden said, we need to up that stake.
Yes.
We can't just say we'll walk 1,000 kilometres, 2,000 kilometres, 5,000 kilometres, So they're saying, I'm going to the moon and back to be my baby. So they've really fucking stepped it up to that. I don't think, can anyone top that?
Well, not even Richard Branson can offer that service.
Exactly right. Exactly. So, I don't think anyone's going to be able to really sort of... If someone says, I'll go to Jupiter and back, people will be like, nah, mate. I think that Savage Garden, they've took it to the nth degree, to the end level. Humankind have never been further away from Earth than the moon. So, Savage Garden have done it. They've taken it as far as we can go. So, look, so those lyrics, they work for me, I think.
Sure.
I don't know much about the rest of the song, but hopefully that you have got some musical highlights for me later on. What I will tell you, though, is that this song has 3 fucking music videos. 3 different music videos that I was find out. One of them, they're performing on a spaceship, and there's like a cyberpunk element to it. And let me tell you, it's dog shit. It's also in black and white, so it's very artistic. So that video. Then there's another music video where they're just walking around the streets, and Darren Hayes has long hair. And then there's a third video where they're walking around the streets, but Darren Hayes has short hair. So it shows the full spectrum of their work. Long hair, Darren Hayes. Short-haired Darren Hayes. Spaceship. That's probably the spaceship I assume that they're flying to the moon on. I guess that's the sort of connective tissue there.
Yeah.
But yeah, don't really know. So, what do you think?
I think I prefer the cyberpunk element one too, because that was a big theme in the 90s.
Definitely.
The old,
for sure,
weird. I think their previous video had a kind of trippy.
Yeah, I think they're a bit wacky, but they love a few versions with different haircuts. I think. Now, look, Darren Hayes, he, from what I understand, he has quit the music business to focus on improv comedy. Is that a wise move?
Well, he is legit funny, I reckon. This is the weird sort of cognitive dissonance I have to indulge in to appreciate Savage Garden.
Yep.
On the one hand, their self-made success and self-belief is just truly staggering. From all interviews and TV spots and panel shows and personal experience with their music, I think about 95% of Australians musicians, through a combination of sort of realism and the innate Australian fear of just having tickets on yourself and being too fond of yourself, just act and work and talk and live with the concept that success just isn't any sort of realistic goal.
Yeah.
They just kind of, doing the work is joy enough. If you get a bar tab or work with a cool producer and make it an album, that's the reward in itself. And in some ways that is good. Like, it's not a bad lesson for an artist. But in other ways, like, well, to quote Oscar Wilde, we're all lying in the gutter, but some of us are looking at the stars. And Darren Hayes was that dude.
Yeah.
And he was right. Not only did he reach the stars with the help of only one other dude, put the cash in a van, and then fucked off.
Yep.
And he's also, handsome, he's really funny, and seemingly quite aware, self-aware, like in his interviews. He does a really good solid Twitter burn quite often, because people obviously give him shit about being in Savage Garden, so he's come to terms with that. But he also wrote some of the shittiest lyrics of all time, and I don't really like any of their songs.
Oh, look,
so swings and roundabouts.
Swings and roundabouts, Tom, but I think that's it. You're right, he doesn't take himself too seriously. I have heard that people give him shit on Twitter and he just goes, well, I don't give a fuck, I've got heaps of money, why should I give a shit?
Yeah.
And, look, I think that's the thing. So the music itself is you're right, total garbage, but I think as a person, I do like him.
Yeah, he seems to have managed to maintain... Maybe that's the trick of maintaining your sanity with pop stardom, is you just do it for 4 years
and then
give it away.
Yeah, for sure. And then
take whatever money you've got after 4 years and then you get to have it keep your sanity instead of turning into Mariah Carey.
Yep. I mean, Darren Hayes could probably go to the supermarket and wouldn't necessarily get recognised by a certain.
I reckon he'd get recognised, but he wouldn't get mobbed.
No,
he wouldn't get someone from New Idea might take your photo, but you're not going to get stalked every day of your life by people who want to know who you're hooking up with or whatever that shit.
Yeah, exactly.
You could get drunk at the pub without worrying that someone's going to take your photo.
But is improv comedy the worst type of comedy?
You really meant improv comedy? I thought you were just talking about him being a smart ass.
No. I legitimately mean that if you go onto his YouTube account, there's him doing improv comedy. Like, what's the deal with t-shirts?
Oh, okay.
So maybe not that, but he moved to the US after quitting and went to LA or something, and was focusing a career on improv comedy.
I think there's a lesser known variant of COVID-19 in the Los Angeles area that causes everybody who gets off a plane there to believe that they should get a career in improv comedy, even if their larger career is in telemarketing or
But look, he doesn't need the money, so obviously it's a bit of fun, and also that these guys haven't reformed, so obviously they did very well back in the day, because a lot of these groups after 8 years, it's like we're never getting back together, and it's like fucking hell, got to get the pool resurfaced or something, let's get back together for a tour, but not these guys, so that's pretty good.
He was in other bands since, but none of them had any of the sort of success. But
oh look, 10 arias they won in 1997. Wow. They were nominated for 10 arias, so they won a lot. So look, obviously sold a lot of records, people really love this as well.
My God. Imagine how satisfying it would be to come from I've seen this once or twice recently with Australian comedians, not the rare occasion when an Australian TV person will go overseas and have an HBO show like, Josh, what's his face, or the, Mr. In Between, or the Kates and stuff. How satisfying it would be to go overseas, win heaps of awards, then come back home to the place where the fucking industry wouldn't give you the time of day before you left. And just quietly just sit there while they give you awards for this shit.
Yeah, absolutely. I think
Even
so.
if it's like Kath and Kim or something, to just be able to go,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's it. You watch something like Mr. In Between, and the dude had like given up and moved to Echuca to be a taxi driver or something because no one would give him a chance.
Mm-hmm.
And then America picks the show up, and it's definitely one of the better Australian shows I've seen in the last decade, probably.
Or Flight of the Conchords or something, where you basically go from busking to be on HBO in New York.
Exactly. So, look, interestingly, Darren Hayes publicly came out as gay in the early 2000s, but he was married to a woman at the time and was struggling with his sexuality when he was writing this album. So a lot of the lyrics, I think, deal with that. When asked if any of the songs in Savage Garden's catalogue contain any sort of coded gay messages or anything, he said, look, I Want You is a song about a dream about being in love with a male energy and waking up and feeling sad that I knew there was a part of me that was missing. Now, imagine that conversation with your wife, Tom, when you're sort of like, you're married, it's like, I've got something to tell you, I'm gay. She's like, look, okay, I maybe had some suspicions, I'm not sure, but okay, so you're leaving me for another man. Well, not exactly. I'm leaving you for a male energy in a dream.
You remember that song that I did that was about Chica Jericho?
Yeah, it's about that.
Turns out I'm in love with that song.
Yeah. So I'm not leaving you for another person, just a general sort of male energy from a dream, kind of like I don't know, like Ghost or something. Like, is that a male energy? Patrick Swayze in Ghost, I guess, something like that. So you'd be like, okay, my husband's gay, that's okay. You know, I understand that we're different people now, and we're going to go our separate ways. But just getting left for like male energy, that's a hard blow. I think that's probably
that's tough.
I don't know. But anyway, look, I think she's probably doing all right because I assume that look, she probably got a good settlement off the Savage Garden cash or something like that. I don't really know, but look, anyway, look. Male energy, it's good. I like it. It's fine. Female energy, all the energies are good. I like all that shit. So, energy in general. What you talked about how bad the lyrics are. Are there any lyrical highlights for this?
Just his lyrics in general. That sort of, it kind of comes back to that cognitive dissonance I was talking about. He said about this song, Darren Hayes said, "I love Blade Runner. I wrote it from that point of view, or the idea of what it means to be human." The idea that yearning to express your emotions and your feelings and for that to be legitimised. There was also someone in my life whose persona was very standoffish and who pushed everyone who loved her away. But I could see underneath that hard shell there was so much pain and all that stuff that I identified with. Mum never loved her much. Daddy never kept in touch. These are things actually bothering this person. Which is, quite observant and, empathetic. But then you read the lyrics and they're like, she can't remember a time when she felt needed. If love was red, then she was colourblind. This is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Also, I have to say, there's a song they did called Compassion in the Jungle, which has to be... I would put that in the top 5 of worst lyrics of all time.
Compassion in the Jungle.
It's truly, truly appalling.
Look, I'll check that out. I love terrible lyrics. But look, yeah, you're right. I read another quote as well, Tom, where he said, I wanted people to understand that, yes, this is a pop band, but it's an intellectual pop band. Yes, we have pop melodies. Yes, we have pop progressions, but we're saying lyrically something more that's a bit clever than "Oh, I Want You." He's clearly forgetting about the single before this, which is called "Oh, I Want You." Ooh, I want. That's literally one of the other songs. So he's shitting on his own lyrics from the previous single. So I think even he realises how bad it is. But is this an intellectual pop band?
No, that is not what they achieved.
This is about as intellectual as a Dan Brown novel, I think.
No, he should have said the opposite. The opposite would have been to say, look, didn't have the smartest lyrics of all time, but we wrote really catchy songs, and I think that's all that matters with pop music. Really, that was the old Oasis defence.
Absolutely.
It's all about the fucking tunes, man. When people would say, "How come these lyrics sound like you read them off the dry cleaning instructions off a denim jacket?" Tunes, man, tunes.
Which is all the more power to these guys. They sold 23 million albums. Only released 2 things. Very, very successful. Yeah, the lyrics were generally like dog shit. So
catchiness, I guess.
Definitely catchy songs. Look, and let's not forget Daniel Jones. I feel for that guy because he effectively just stood 5 metres behind Darren
Playing
Hayes
the keyboard.
in photo shoots for about 8 years.
Hey,
So-
he gets the even better end of the deal because nobody knows what the fuck he looks like. So he's got 10 million in the bank and he can go to the pokies and get drunk.
Oh, he can definitely go to the
Fall
supermarket and people just sort of, he probably gets asked occasionally, were you the guy in Silverchair? And he's like, for fuck's sake, no, I wasn't. So Savage Garden, they've got 4.4 million Spotify listeners. That's pretty good, seeing they haven't released anything for 20 years, so good on them.
They only had 2 albums.
Yep, so that money, that revenue is still coming in from Spotify. I'm sure Darren Hayes is still getting a check for $18 a month, so something like that. And you can buy this for 2 cents on Discogs, probably because there's a trillion copies of it out in the wild.
Sure.
I'm going to play a game, Tom, where I'm going to try and find as many of these CD singles in op shops as I possibly can. Just earlier this week, I found a copy of Los Del Rio, the Macarena. So,
wow.
Yeah.
I can't imagine many of those guys.
There'd be a trillion of them. So I'm going to try and find as many CD singles from the 90s as I possibly can. So that's good. All right. What up next is Silverchair, Freak.
Yes. From the album Freak Show.
Freak Show.
Which is their number 2.
Absolutely. So look, this is the difficult second album, Tom. Obviously they sophomore album, and it must be hard to have to record and release the difficult second album when you're 17 because it's sort of they're still kids here. The first one came out when they're like 15. This is only 2 years later. But look, obviously they'd matured as songwriters, matured as lyricists, and look, I think that when Daniel Johns was probably because he was the prime songwriter for the band, I'm sure he came in and said, look, I've got a new lot of songs. It's time that we put these to tape, release that second album. He comes in, he starts playing the band this song. I think this is the first single, I think one of the first songs that they wrote. So he comes in, the band ask him, they're interested in what these songs are about. So Darren Hayes sort of comes up, sings the first line, no more maybes. I'm sure the band is like, it's no more maybes. We want to be definitive. We want to know what we're doing. We're sick of politicians and adults and people around us, being so indecisive. And we're tired of that maybes. We want decisive action. We want to move forward. I love this song. Great. Next line. The baby's got rabies. Okay. What the fuck are you talking about, Daniel? I think at that stage the band were like, what comes next? I'm sitting on a ball in the middle of the Andes. Now, these lyrics are fucking woeful. Are they worse than those Savage Garden lyrics? Or no more maybes, the baby's got rabies, I'm sitting on a ball in the middle of the Andes.
I think he said it was about something he saw on National Geographic Channel or something like that.
Okay.
But I mean, why he felt the need to put that in a song.
Yeah, look, I don't know, but is it also maybe the song's called Freak, so he's just singing about weird, like, I'm a freak, I'm going to sing about this weird stuff, so maybe it's sort of self-referential in that way. I don't know. Yeah, look, I'm not sure. I don't know. Look, that's just me, Tom. I don't know. I think I like...
I don't know what the fuck it means either.
But don't worry about that because the rest of the album has some stellar lyrics. It's not, this song, you might look at it and go, this is no good. But what else has he got? There's another song on the album that features the lyrics, so come and join the mass debate. So he gets a wank joke in there. So they've really matured in the songwriting and the lyrics. They've really moved on. They've done a pretty good job.
He is still a teenager at this point. We're probably lucky that half the songs weren't about nicking cigarettes from someone else's dad and downloading JPEGs of Pamela Anderson on a 56k modem, I would say. But, I'm a big fan of the album's front cover, which is an image, it's a painting of Grady Stiles Jr., who was a sideshow performer afflicted with ectrodactyly, who used the stage name Lobster Boy.
Ooh.
Because he had kind of,
lobster hands. Yep.
I always like the picture. It's quite a witty image, I reckon, because it's just his head. He's just a kind of jonky suburban white kid, and it has the curtains around him that says freak show. So you sort of have to know that he's a freak to know that he's a freak. So yeah,
I think did that same artist that did the cover for that do? I know all the singles. I think from this album all had sort of similar styled sort of artwork. So
I guess they were aiming for that sort of
that
hand-painted.
Yeah,
50s poster freak
exactly,
show
for sure. So I think from that point of view, the album cover and the other singles and the other artwork sort of tied in well with that. I think so. That was pretty good, definitely. Look. To be honest, this is the hardest number one song on this year and probably of the whole decade.
Well, this is 97 now, so we are definitely post-grunge, as
We're
you've said
post-grunge,
before.
yep.
So the heaviness of the charts is backing away down again.
I don't think we'll hear a song as heavy as this for the rest of the time that we do this podcast, Tom,
not
until
for
the
a
day I
pop
die.
number one, no.
So, because this is the number one song on the pop charts, he's tuned the guitar down a bit. He's clearly influenced by bands such as Helmet, I'd say, some of the harder grunge bands with a sort of Black Sabbath influence, your sort of Alice in Chains, Soundgarden, that sort of stuff. So it's definitely like a sort of heaviest style riff. Daniel Johns is a vegan, apparently. So it's a shame that he wasn't listening to vegan hardcore bands like Earth Crisis, because I feel like if he had have combined some of that into this song, could have made it a little bit more harder, a little bit heavier, and I could honestly see someone getting spun kicked out of a window to this song. So I think it's pretty tough. I like it, just how hard they were able to make a number one song. But you got to realise that this is 1997, Tom. New metal is huge at this stage. So Silverchair, it's a tightrope walk. This song, you're talking an alternate rock band that's trying to play some songs are a heavier style of music.
Yeah.
So your contemporaries are some pretty terrible new metal bands at the time. So look, it was good that they were able to write this song that I think is pretty catchy, because two wrong notes and you're opening for Super Heist on the Crank the System tour, I think. So it is a very fine line between this and Daniel Johns starts rapping, or he's like goes to the Family Values tour, or whatever the fuck that shit was in America.
Or
So
Ben Gillies is up the back using a turntable instead of drums.
yeah, exactly right, exactly. So yeah, look, I think this one's pretty good. The video
dropped out of Super Heist when their last tour was called "Don't Call It a Comeback."
don't.
I was like, okay, I won't.
I won't call it a comeback. Absolutely, I shan't call it a comeback. Look. Yeah, I feel bad for that kid that was wearing that T-shirt that got beat up at a Sepultura concert. But look,
that's unnecessary.
it is unnecessary, yeah. So, look, the video for this is kind of cool but weird. I remember seeing it on Rage. So it's them playing live, and there's all those heaters, like really.
Oh yeah,
all the really
it's like they're in an oven.
Yeah, and then they're sweating a lot, and then so they collect up all the sweat, and then they go and inject it into a lady in another room, and then she turns into an alien and then flies back to her home planet. So it's pretty weird, but it's I think it's one of those videos that it's
not terrible.
No, it's not terrible. I definitely remember seeing it as a kid and going, this is kind of memorable, because it is sort of like, oh yeah, they're sweating and they're going to use the sweat for something, but then at the very end you're just like going, yeah, didn't see that coming. So power to them for doing it. Look, I think as time went on, they probably got a little bit more away from the sort of grungy sort of style and sort of got a bit more progressive and changed a bit, and probably became better songwriters as they got a bit older. Look, I think by the time they'd released their next album, their third album, they're probably still like 20 years of age, so it's pretty impressive. So, yeah, good on them for that. But what I will say is that Anthem for the Year 2000 on the next album is one of the worst songs I've ever heard in my life. So watch out for that. I don't think we get to talk about it on the podcast because it didn't hit to number one.
I don't hate that song, but I haven't heard it for a long time.
Oh, it's terrible.
Who knows? Sure. I mean, you're right. He was definitely evolving in real time. It was kind of interesting to watch at the time, if not always to listen to.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, some might say that they could have taken the Savage Garden approach and just fucked off after 2 albums with gigantic cartoon bags of money with dollar signs drawn on the side, with like notes falling out as they ran away. But they didn't. They did try to improve. Or Daniel Johns certainly tried to evolve as a songwriter. Like you say, there's only so long that you can do the whole how chunky could we make the chorus song structure thing for a while before you start going, fuck it, we've got to, let's evolve a bit here. Yep. But I think this was their last big album in America.
Yeah,
like I think Frog Stomp and that was kind of the end of their American success after this. He still had plenty of hits in Australia, but
yeah, I think you're right. I think they probably tried to go a little bit more progressive, a little bit sort of he moving away from the trends, because the trend at the time was, as we will see in 2 years' time, Woodstock '99 came along, Tom, and the Americans wanted
that was pretty much the last gasp of grunge, if there needed to be one. It was new metal and grunge sort of putting a bullet in the last
Yeah.
that sort of slightly hippie-ish idea of grunge, of it still being about, you know, the people on the ground and, you know, fuck the man and stuff like that.
But I think Daniel Johns is sort of one of those sort of characters that probably, you know, when he's playing live, if they're playing the sort of harder, heavier songs and he looks out at the crowd and sees the sort of, you know, jockey frat dudes like punching on, he's probably like, maybe I don't want to do this anymore. Like I have a feeling that, and it's like a lot of artists. Yeah, exactly. And I'm sure there's a myriad of artists that sort of play a certain style of music, and you look out in the crowd and just be like, oh, the people that, you know, gave me a hard time at high school are now my fans, so I need to make a musical shift into something else.
Dave Chappelle too, in comedy, similar sort of thing. Like there's a weird thing. I guess only famous people could understand that, but the idea, looking out and seeing your fans and going, fucking hell, is this what... Is this who likes me? What does that mean?
Yeah, exactly. So, and look, I've always found him to be a sort of interesting character. He seems to be someone that, like I think he said recently, even I read it maybe a couple of weeks ago, that he said, yeah, Silverchair's never getting back together. So if you know, we don't need to retrace the odd steps. You don't need to see it live. If you didn't see it the first time, it's over. And I think he's just sort of quite happy to go and pursue other musical endeavours.
And presumably,
do whatever he wants.
There were only 3 of them too, so presumably they made quite a bit of money. They probably don't need to.
Well, exactly. The drummer's wife is a psychic, so she's bringing in her own cash revenue stream as well, so which is pretty good. And Daniel Johns, he can make a couple of $100,000 every year when he has to sue the Daily Mail or something for saying that he lives in a brothel. So yeah, for sure, loving the brown showers, but apparently it's all just made up, like the Daily Mail. That was one of the accusations. That he used to hang out at that brothel that specialised in brown showers. Yeah, that was right. So I think there was an implication that it was like Daniel Johns, he's always at this brothel. They specialise in brown showers. You know, you join the dots. He's like, I've never fucking been there before. So look, that's good. So yeah, massive respect for him, because he did a bit of a Savage Garden in the sense that he sort of hung it up while things were still good. He didn't, like, you know... Yeah. He could be still doing Silverchair now if he wanted to, and I'm sure it'd be diminishing returns.
Like, for a guy who grew up looking a little bit like, and being obviously very influenced by someone like Kurt Cobain, and a lot of those other, you know, the early grunge singers and stuff, he seemed commendably sane and stuff like that. I think he struggled with mental illness a little bit at the start, as you would if you were in his position.
I think just the fame hitting you pretty quickly.
I know, it was like body image. He was anorexic or something. But other than that, I mean, he came out of it pretty well unscathed, which is not bad. If you can be that successful as a 17-year-old and come out of it while still alive and without ever having gone to rehab, then you're doing pretty well.
Yeah, and I'm not sure exactly what he's doing right now, but one can only assume that he's sitting on a ball in the middle of the Andes, Tom. So, and he has
he's a bit of a freak.
Yeah, definitely. He's a freak of nature. And look, he has no children, but if he did, I assume that they would have rabies as well. So. He also used to be married to Natalie Imbruglia.
Oh yeah, that's another
which I completely forgot about. Yeah. For sure, I remember I was in Queensland the day that they separated, and it was announced, and I found a copy of the local newspaper, the Courier, and it said "the day the music died," which I think's the same headline they used when John Lennon was assassinated. What's worse, Tom? Putting it out there now, what was the worst event? The assassination of John Lennon, or the separation of Natalie Imbruglia and Daniel Johns?
Natalie Imbruglia, for anyone who doesn't know who the fuck that is, she had one hit that was a cover of an older song, and she used to be on Home and Away.
Neighbours, I think. She's not Neighbours, Yeah, look, I don't know. I think John Lennon had a pretty good life, so probably by the time he was on the downward spiral by the time he was shot. So look,
I think who remembers that guy really?
Oh, I barely know. I know his son Julian. I think he's featured a couple of times in the podcast. I'm familiar with that, but yeah, certainly I think that if Daniel and Natalie had have stayed together, they could have done some pretty good work together. I think it would have been nice. Maybe she could have joined Silverchair and could have been, another vocalist in there.
Well, they just hung out with Bono and Peter Garrett on a big bed smoking a joint.
That's true. They also did that as well.
I like to imagine they're still there now.
Absolutely. So look, 2.1 million listeners on Spotify and 51 cents for this, which is up in the...
That's surprisingly high.
Are there any lyrical highlights?
Mostly the song is sort of boring and one note is something like "Creep" by Radiohead.
Yep.
Which is, I mean, imagine
freak.
if that had a one hit with that, like, which they nearly did. They almost...
Radiohead?
Yeah.
Yep.
And then you'd be cursed to become famous with, like, the worst song that you ever did.
Yeah.
I reckon that's just about the worst song they ever did, and it was a hit. Fucking hell.
Yeah.
Anyway, so, it's just all, I'm a freak, I'm not cool, blah, blah, blah. But there is one verse where he says, try to be different, get a different disease, seems it's in fashion to need the cold sore cream.
Yeah, it's true.
He's our age, which makes him by the way most people measure it, a very young Gen Xer.
Yep.
Or, and I reckon this is a unintended message to the millennials from Daniel about defining yourself by the thing that makes you different, and then you just become as boring as everybody else, by being a freak,
Yep.
I'm choosing, if you want to be generous to this song, I think you could say that it's about identifying yourself as a freak and then just becoming, that becomes, you just become as dull as everybody else. Which coming at the end of the grunge era where everybody had to be an outsider and a freak, and you've got people like fucking Eddie Vedder pretending that no one liked him at high school when he was just a normal guy who was, played soccer and shit like that because you had to. It was just de rigueur.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that might be what he's talking about.
Yeah. It was like if you were the quarterback in the football team and you were cool, then it's like you couldn't be a grunge rocker. You had to sort of. Which I think, Scott Weiland from the Stone Temple Pilots, I think he might have copped a bit of shit because I think, he was like
rugby.
He was like the cool guy and like played football, and I think everyone liked him. So I was like, he can't be a grunge rocker. He wasn't. He was too popular. So yeah, look, absolutely all those things that you said, Tom. I think interestingly, I think with these guys as well is that obviously. They had such a successful career early on, and with the lyrics that you've mentioned, I can only imagine the sort of shit that I was churning out at 17 in English class.
Absolutely.
You got to write a sonnet for your English class. And I'm going,
and that shit wasn't even catchy. Like at least this is kind of like singable.
Yeah. So I think that's probably what, and I think Daniel Johns has even come out and said, look, this is shit that I was writing when I was 17. It's pretty cringy, but you guys get to hide that stuff. No one's looking at your old English essays or English shit that you had to write. Mine's out there forever now. So people are looking at my 15-year-old lyrics and going, these are terrible. And it's like, I was 15. What did you expect? So anyway, look, power to that. I shouldn't have shat on these lyrics. So look.
Oh, no, you're right. They're not great. I'm not saying they're good. I'm just saying, like, I think that's what, if he's saying anything, I reckon that's what he's saying.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. All right, so that was 2 weeks for that one. Up next is No Doubt, Don't Speak.
I forgot this was such a big hit. 8 weeks.
8 weeks, yeah.
This was
around
their
forever.
first impact in the Australian charts.
Yep, absolutely, yeah.
Although they did have a hit with Just a Girl earlier.
That's right. Yeah, so Just a Girl, that was, I think, the single before this one off the album. That was pretty popular, but not a number one hit, obviously. So look, unlike Silverchair, who were massive by the time they were 15, No Doubt started in 1986, but didn't really break out until Tragic Kingdom, the album that this song came off, which was released in 1995. And this song actually hit number one 2 years later in 1997. So they released the album 2 years prior, had a few other singles, the Just a Girl one that you mentioned, a few other ones that were sort of popular-ish, but then this one came along and hit number one. So look, it just goes to show that, power to them for sticking with it, because it took 10 years before they sort of really broke through. So a lot of bands don't last that long. Just a Girl reached number 3 in Australia, so that was pretty big.
Okay.
But this was also the first song that Gwen wrote without her brother Eric Stefani. So perhaps I should have kicked him out of the band like 10 years ago.
You can't help but notice that by comparison to Just a Girl and some of the other songs of this album, this is less punky and more poppy. And I'm thinking, because they were starting out as like a ska band.
type thing, yeah.
So maybe the reason that it took them so long to get popular was that they were just better at being a pop band
than a shitty ska.
And she's obviously, given the fact that she went off to have her own enormous pop career,
yeah, exactly.
Maybe she actually had better musical instruments than them. Better musical. What am I thinking of? instincts that
Yeah.
they did, and they should have just let her, do it earlier.
So they got rid of the bride.
And it can be a mixed blessing. Sometimes when that happens, you end up with a Fergie situation.
Shit,
Nobody wants that. To happen.
Nobody wants that at all, exactly. So look, the brother, interesting side fact, he left the band to become an animator on The Simpsons. So there you go, for sure.
Oh, I hope it made him happy.
Yeah, so look, anyway, so apparently Eric Stefani, he originally wrote it as a love song, but then it went through a couple of rewrites. Gwen modified the lyrics, and it ended up turning into a breakup song about her and her ex-boyfriend, Tony Canal, who ended their 7-year relationship around the time that this song came out. So, bandmates, the bass player from No Doubt, Gwen Stefani, together for 7 years.
Okay.
They break up, writes this song about that, and then it becomes a big hit. So that must have been a weird sort of thing, like the fact that they needed the breakup for them as a band to become popular, but then their relationship isn't together anymore. So look, I imagine that even after the breakup, the band was able to stay together, so it must have been pretty tough, but obviously they were able to do that. And probably pretty rough for Tony as well, because you got to realise that after the breakup, obviously, they're going to start seeing other people, but they're still seeing each other every day because of, being in this band. So, imagine Tony when Gwen's like, oh, I'm seeing someone new, and he's like, oh, okay, yeah. I'm not seeing anyone yet. And she's like, oh, yeah, look, I'm really happy with my new boyfriend. He's like, oh, okay. Oh, you get to meet him one day. He's like, oh, okay, yeah, that sounds good. And then, one day Gwen Stefani shows up at band practice and she's like, oh, my new boyfriend's coming later today. And Tony's like, oh, great, I can't wait to meet him. And then, finish band practice. The dude shows up and he's like, oh, it's that fucking cunt from Bush.
Oh, yeah, that's right, of course.
So they ended up getting married. So it just seems so awkward. He's just like, the guy from No Doubt's like, for fuck's sake. And then, in walks the Bush guy and he's like, oh, guys, great practice. Can I just have a bit of a play? And they're like, oh, fucking hell. So then he just picks up the guitar. Don't let the days go by. Glycerine. Just making like really hard eye contact at Gwen Stefani. Glycerine. Don't make the days go. And the rest of the band are just standing around going, fucking hell. And he's like, glycerine. So... And that's how it exactly went down, I imagine. And that's just fucking awkward for anyone.
Yeah,
the dude from Bush showing up, playing Glycerine to Gwen, and everyone else is like, just fuck off. You're like fake British grunge bullshit. I think his parents were doctors. That's not grunge material. You got to be the uncool kid. Yeah. You have to grow up in abject poverty and be the uncool kid. If your parents are doctors, you got no place in grunge. But obviously Gwen Stefani didn't care.
They were both extremely attractive.
Oh yeah,
he's so hot that he in the film Constantine, he literally plays an angel. He plays a male angel, and Gwen Stefani is like, she was like, this 90s pin-up girl, you know. Yeah, I mean...
Absolutely.
And even then, and after this, who is she going out with now? He's even worse.
Some country and western guy. I think she's married to a country singer or something.
Dickhead or some shit.
I don't know.
It's just, I don't know.
But anyway,
maybe she should have stuck with the guy in the band.
She should have stuck with the Bush guy, I think, definitely.
Oh.
So, no, the guy from No Doubt.
If
should have stuck with the guy from No Doubt.
You would think if anyone had learned one thing from the 60s and 70s, apart from never wear bell-bottoms under any circumstances, it's don't fuck your bandmates.
No, exactly.
For fuck's sake.
Exactly.
Fuck the guy running the lighting rig.
Yeah, for
or
sure.
The guy who hands you your guitars. You can,
So, look, I'm just happy that they were able to maintain a professional relationship in the band once they'd split up. Because, look, I think that once they got rid of the ska, they had a couple of pop hits that, I'm fine with. I don't hate on these guys. Gwen Stefani as well. She's got some bangers. Harajuku Girls. Tom have got that wicked style. You may be familiar with that. But look, I think No Doubt's popularity was assisted. This is obviously where they got big, but before this, they were sort of in that kind of. I think you mentioned third wave of ska in the early 90s, rising out of the punk scene. And look, I was a teenager at the time, and what I can tell you is that I fucking hated it. And I mean nothing outside of a UB40 cover is worse than ska covers of pop songs. Nothing is worse.
That was
that
really
shit
popular
sucked.
for some reason.
Yeah, like something like Real Big Fish doing Aha Take On Me. Fuck that.
There were whole albums of ska covers of pop songs for some reason.
Pop goes ska or some crap.
I lived with a
goodness
guy.
me.
I lived with a couple of guys who were into that sort of ska punk stuff.
Yep.
For a while, not to the extent of playing in a band or anything, but
Yeah.
you know, I don't know if I was a fan or not. But we used to have skanking parties at a share house where I lived at the time. I'll credit ska with teaching me two things.
Yeah.
One, any party looks classier if you make everyone wear a jacket and sunglasses.
Yeah, that's true.
Even if it's a 4 sizes too big op-shop jacket and a pair of Oakleys you found on the ground outside a service station.
Yep.
And, I mean, the Blues Brothers were onto something there. And two, if you need to destroy your carpet in an emergency, get 20 teenagers to skank on it for 3 hours.
Yep.
Skanking, if you don't know what that is, it's essentially running on the spot while sliding your feet along the ground. So, yeah.
Definitely.
If you get 20 teenagers in DC skate shoes to do that on your white shag pile, which is what we had in that house.
You'll fuck that carpet up hard, absolutely.
Even if they are wearing a classy jacket from fucking the salvos.
For sure. So, yeah, I think that there's probably some good ska out there, Tom. I've just yet to hear it. So, certainly not covers of pop songs.
I mean, some of it was well played. You know, they would have a proper horn section and shit like that. Some of it was, and a lot of it's quite fast and very tight. But yeah, if you don't like it, you don't like it.
I'm thinking Area 7 song "Nobody Likes a Bogan," bottom 5 song of all time, any genre. Around
this time, fucking Mighty Mighty Boss Tones became really big too for a while. They had that one song in Chasing Amy, and then that took off on the radio somehow.
I think so. Yeah, that sucked as well. So the album, this sold 16 million copies.
Fuck.
So I think that once they, toned down the ska and got a bit more pop, they were on their way forward. So they're doing pretty well.
Well, Madness, they were in the sort of second ska wave, and that was kind of like pop ska as well. They had plenty of pop radio hits, Yeah.
That's probably a bit more fun. Not for me still, but look, I'll give them credit where credit's due. I think people do enjoy, they're fun songs.
Oh, I'm not arguing. I'm just saying they did a more pop version of that stuff, and they were huge as well at the time.
So this song didn't chart in the US. This is because, only because this was at the time in the late 90s. We've talked about this, I think, last week, and probably a little bit more this week we'll get to, and I'm sure in the future, where the US record labels were saying, we're not releasing these songs as singles. You got to buy that whole fucking album.
Oh, they were still doing that fucking thing.
So they're releasing a music video, and it's going to radio, and people are hearing it, and then it's like, where can I buy this? It's like, well, it's not available as a CD single. Got to buy the album. So this one didn't chart in the US just based off that because it wasn't available to buy. But
I guess they must have generated more money off album sales. They did, just gone, well, it's a bit.
Well, an album was like $18 or something, whereas a single probably costs like $2 or $3. I don't know. But can't you just? I don't know. I'm not going to go and buy an album if I've heard one single and liked it. I don't know. Maybe I am. Maybe I would. I don't know. But yeah, look. Anyway, to show how tuned in they were at the time to what was happening, a cartoon version of No Doubt performed this song on the animated TV show King of the Hill in 2001.
Oh, so they appeared as themselves.
Yes, in animated form. So there you go. Does anyone know what King of the Hill is? Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if anyone knows what it is in this day and age. People are too busy watching the new animated shows they've got.
King of the Hill, the only reason I keep seeing it in the public consciousness is from memes. It still gets used in meme form. Sometimes Hank Hill doing various bits and pieces, but that's
about it.
Other than that,
definitely. So 6.7 million listeners on Spotify still to this day, a lot. Gwen Stefani has 12 million by herself. She's fucking just going crazy.
She had a huge career,
absolutely,
at least for a few years there.
And 2 cents on the Discogs because they would have made a shitload of these in Australia. In other countries, it was only US that didn't have the version for CD single. Now, lyrics, highlights, anything. Yeah.
I think her lyrics were more fun when she was on her own and she just went silly.
Well, that shit is bananas. Bananas. Exactly. So that was way more fun. Holla back, girl. Makes no sense, but at least it's fun. I sing that every day.
That's right. On these older ones, which have a bit of more of trying to have a bit more social conscious message, she generally picks a simple idea and hits it on the head. Some might say that she also knocks it over, kicks in the ball, stomps into the ground, and reverses the cement truck over it. But that would be mean. As you said, most of the songs on here, half the songs on this album are about breaking up with their partner.
Yep.
Which, yeah, as you said. So you get things like, our memories, they can be inviting, but some are altogether mighty frightening. Whereas even Darren Hayes would have said, could we maybe lose the adverb there in that last line, love, I think. But, yeah. Hey, look, I don't feel bad about taking the piss out of her because she went on to have massive success. And this was like the first stepping stone in that, so good on her.
For sure, yeah. Harajuku Girls have got that wicked style,
Hollaback
that
Girls,
Hollaback Girl, that shit is bananas.
There was a really fucking catchy one off their last album, the one after this, which was like more like her stuff, but I can't remember what it's called.
I always knew you'd end up my ex-girlfriend.
It's got people on jet skis in the video, that's all I mean.
Fantastic, love it. Yeah, it's good stuff. So, yeah, look, good on them. Don't know if we probably won't hear from any more, no doubt, but we probably hear from some Gwen action later on, so that's fantastic. All right, up again next for 8 weeks. It's Savage Garden again, Tom.
8 more weeks. Fuck
Truly,
me.
Madly, Deeply. Now, look, Ooh, I Want You, that we've talked about before, and To the Moon and Back, I can tolerate those. They're not the best songs, but I can tolerate
they're catchy.
them. I really fucking hated this song at the time, and it's terrible now. It's just so boring and just fucking dog shit.
It's one of those ones with a 2.5 minute long video clip, and you find yourself skipping ahead because 2.5 minutes isn't going past quickly enough.
Yeah, look, it's boring as hell. But look, it was featured in the highly successful 1998 Jude Law film Music from Another Room.
God, that has to be a contender for worst movie title of all time.
Oh, absolutely,
I saw this on the movie show. Even Margaret and David were like, that fucking title sucks shit.
Yeah, it does
and
suck
has
shit.
absolutely nothing to do with the film. What the fuck does that even mean? Like, even in, like, Deathbed, the bed that eats people, at least invites you in to see what the deathbed might look like.
Yeah, that's true.
Music from Another Room, what does that fucking mean?
Look, I've not seen the film. I'm not going to. I just assume it's terrible. No, look, Jude Law and a Savage Garden soundtrack, those two things don't really entice me. If anyone, hit us up on the Instagram if you disagree and tell us why Tom and I should live stream us on Twitch watching the 1998 Jude Law film Music from Another Room. Now, the name Savage Garden, I was curious about this. I was trying to sort of check it out, and I found out that it comes from the Anne Rice novel Memnoch the Devil.
Okay.
So, the Vampire Chronicles #5, apparently. So, specifically, there's a passage in the book that says, "In the savage garden, you shine beautifully, my friend."
She does love purple prose.
Which describes the landscape inhabited by the vampire. Now, Darren Hayes of Savage Garden has said that he feels an affinity for vampires because as a performer, he has to navigate a world where he was often misunderstood.
That could be one reason. Another reason could be because Anne Rice's vampires are super homoerotic and gay.
Yep.
And that also he's a massive dork. But I do like that he doesn't bother trying to make up a cooler story, and he's okay to just go, no, I got it from this goth book I liked when I was a dork.
12, yeah, exactly. Yeah, absolutely, which is pretty good. Look, raises a lot of questions. One, are vampires misunderstood? I don't know. Are they? What do you think?
Depends whether or not you think they drink blood to live forever. Then
they're also fictional. It's hard to be misunderstood when you don't actually exist. I guess it's sort of a little bit difficult. But he feels an affinity for them because he too is misunderstood. He is like a vampire. Savage Garden could have almost been a goth band, couldn't they? They should have gone for a darker image, been a little bit more... He could have dressed up as a vampire, and I think I would have probably enjoyed it a bit more.
If he had a couple more members, and if he had a better voice, they could have done a bit of... what were they called? Evanescence.
Oh,
I could imagine.
Yeah, that would be pretty good, I think. Absolutely right. So, look, the music video for this is Darren Hayes just walking around Paris in a leather trench coat, which I think looks sick.
It's a good outfit. Leather trench coat and a black turtleneck.
Oh,
it's always a classy combination, just like your shaft outfit.
Yeah, look, it never goes out of style. I don't think that look like a leather trench coat. I think he was wearing a shirt underneath though. I think the best look for a leather trench coat is just no shirt or t-shirt, just bare chest,
just a Blade style.
Yeah, exactly like Blade. And I think East 17 pulled that off in a few of their music videos as well, which is cool.
Would you accessorise that with, say, a wetsuit underneath,
Oh,
cameo
yeah,
style?
probably, yeah.
Maybe
absolutely.
a red plastic cod piece.
Yeah,
Appears
definitely.
to have a couple of tennis balls wedged into it.
Yeah, look, I think that if Angelina Jolie, you combined her with sort of, Keanu in The Matrix, you are sort of getting a wetsuit with a leather jacket combo. So I think I would like to see that. Definitely a really good look. It also has 2 music videos, though. The other one is just sitting on a couch. So you've got
Boring.
walking around Paris in a leather trench coat or just sitting on a couch. So why would you even bother making the other one? I've got no idea.
It's one of those videos where the band are like in a meeting in the studio says, "So what's the video, guys?" And the singer's like, "Oh, we should evoke melancholy romance, perhaps in a European setting like Paris." While he's stuffing travel brochures under the desk in a hurry with all the prices crossed out and "Suck It, Warner Music Publishing" scribbled in.
Yeah.
That was 97. These days the label would be like, well, if you cut out a picture of the Eiffel Tower out of a Woman's Weekly and film yourself in front of it on your own phone, we'll pay for the Woman's Weekly. Oh, I'm just getting a call. No, sorry, we won't pay for the Woman's Weekly. We've just been bought by, checks notes, a YouTube unboxer. He's 9. So, yeah, it was a different time, is what I'm saying.
Absolutely. They flew him to Paris just to wander around. That's nice.
Doing nothing. He just
doing
trundles
absolutely
about in a
nothing.
trench coat.
Yeah,
They probably
exactly.
paid for the fucking trench coat. They paid for old dirty bastard's collection of Louis Vuitton
They did. They
luggage
paid for all of his handbags.
so
and
he
that.
could drop a verse in a Mariah Carey song.
Yeah, exactly. So respect to that guy. Fucking up. R.I.P. ODB. Yeah. Lyric. Does this have any lyrical highlights? I can imagine.
Not really. There's 2 versions of the song, one for the US market with a drum track. I think that's why the video is just like different. Sorry. Lyrics are like, I want to stand with you on a mountain, I want to bathe with you in the sea, I want to lay like this forever till the sky falls down on me. Can you see it, baby? You don't have to close your eyes. It's standing right before you. All that you need will surely come. Oh, yeah. I mean, that sold 23 million albums. I sold some sneakers on eBay once. How about you?
Not 23 million pairs. I don't think you did, Tom. Did you?
No. I got to admit, he's ahead of me there. All right, Darren, you've bested me once again.
Yeah.
What have we got next? Speaking of things that have aged super well.
Well, I'll just quickly say, Tom, you can buy that for
sorry.
4 cents. I just want to point that out
Okay.
right now.
You already said how much.
Absolutely. But yes, up next, Hanson with Mbop. Wow. Now, has this aged well, Tom?
I mean, it's remembered.
Yep.
Not a novelty song, but
No.
certainly a one-hit wonder.
Look, I'm going to say this sucks worse than that Savage Garden song, but look, they were legitimately children, so I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. This was their first single released in 97 when Isaac, he was the oldest one, he was 16. Taylor was 13 and Zach was 11. So, look, it's pretty good for kids,
I guess so.
but it's pretty terrible in terms of just general music.
Yes, and you get the feeling they had wealthy parents who sort of backed them and I'm guessing gave them some help.
Yep.
Whereas you get the feeling Silverchair were probably more like just jamming
Banging it
in
out in the
shed.
garage, yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, I'd probably take Silverchair. Although I might be tempted to say that I personally enjoy this more than that last fucking Savage Garden song.
Yeah, look, you're right, Tom. I think...
but that's just my personal preference.
No, look, when I said this sucks worse than the Savage Garden song, actually, I wrote that before I'd sort of gone back and listened to both of them back to back, and I wanted to stay the course, but the reality is that, yeah, that Savage Garden song's pretty boring. At least this is, like, upbeat and, like...
It has catchiness.
Yeah.
If nothing else at all, musicianship, singing ability, lyrics or anything. Whereas that Savage Garden one doesn't even have catchiness on its side.
Definitely. Now, look, this was produced by the Dust Brothers. Now, I can't fucking believe that for a second, but...
Again, it's money, I'm guessing, that this is,
Yeah, so the Dust Brothers, produced such big albums as Beck's Odelay, Beastie Boys' Paul's Boutique. So this is a strike against their name. But it's sort of interesting. It's like Paul's Boutique is just, a very samples-based album, as we know, with the Beastie Boys sort of providing their own lyrical take and stuff. Whereas this is just, sounds like the Dust Brothers just literally recording them playing their shit.
Weirdly enough, it
Yep.
does have a few samples.
Oh,
in
does
I
it?
know what you mean. They did the Fight Club soundtrack as well, which is
Yeah.
another sampling masterpiece.
Mm-hmm.
Stealing Fat might be my favourite movie opening of all time. I'll put the link in that.
Yeah, it's good.
But yeah, if you're wondering where the scratching in the chorus here comes from, it's Buffalo Gals by Malcolm McLaren.
Fuck, is it?
Yeah, and the song also features drum loops in addition to the drumming from Melvin Bliss, Synthetic Substitution. If I had to say one thing about Mbop, it would be don't listen to Mbop, listen to Melvin Bliss, Synthetic Substitution, because it's really fucking good, whereas Mbop is more ballsack, really, when you get down to it. I've got to admit, I remembered this being better than it was, which is not saying much, because I remembered it being a disposable pop hit, but yeah.
Yeah. And listen to that Malcolm McLaren song as well.
Buffalo Girls.
I like Buffalo
That's
Girls.
a bit of an old, early classic of sort of early hip-hop, proto-hip-hop.
Absolutely right. So yeah, it's sort of weird that one of the proto-hip-hop songs is from an old white Scottish guy, but there you go. So it's all right.
Well, by Malcolm McLaren,
Yeah.
stretching it as is anything associated with Malcolm McLaren.
Him just talking over something that someone else has done.
Yes.
So yeah.
Or he paid for the recording studio.
For sure, absolutely so. But yeah, what Buffalo Gals go round the outside later? Eminem, chopped that up for his trailer park.
I'm sure that's one of those ones that's been sampled
for a million times. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, look, so that's weird from the Dust Brothers, but look, yeah, you're right. Money comes along, I guess. So look, Hanson took a bit of a cue from Kiss, not quite to the extreme of Kiss. Because Kiss have like the Kiss coffin and all that other shit, when it comes to marketing, like no one will ever get anywhere remotely close to Kiss in terms
Gene
of
Simmons,
the amount of shit that they have sold over the years.
And that was decades before other bands even thought
Yeah,
of that.
exactly.
It's amazing.
Very, very clever. That
Truly is the Donald Trump of hard rock.
Yeah, definitely respect that. But these guys set up their own branding and distribution sort of company quite early on, interestingly. So they had like a Hansonopoly, like, you know how you can now get monopoly of fucking anything that's ever existed. Like, sort of 20 years ago, that was a novelty to have like a Hanson Monopoly game. They had their own guitar picks. And then in 2011, they announced that they'd be selling a craft beer, an IPA, Tom, called Hops. Now, is that clever or is that fucking dog shit?
It's like nice try, but it's no Slice of Devon.
No, it's not.
Slice of Devon wins. That no one's beaten that yet, I don't think.
No, absolutely right. So yeah, look, they've released 2 Christmas albums, which I think is a sign of a great band because it's very difficult to do a covers Christmas album. I find it's difficult to do one, and they did Snowed In, I think, sort of directly after this album.
Okay.
But then they did another one.
That was during their cocaine phase.
Yeah, I think so. Must be very difficult to do a second Christmas album, given that they did all the best songs in the first one. But Hanson pulled it off, so good on them. Haven't heard either of them, but I assume they're both dog shit. They did release an album in 2020, so they're still going. But Tom, look, we like to break things on this show, I think. So look, I'm talking about Hanson Gate.
Ah, yes, I've heard of this as well. Please hit me with it.
Controversial, but apparently it all started off, first of all, when they wouldn't really commit to Black Lives Matter causes, I think. Sort of they had some people saying, will you support this? And they just sort of wouldn't really do it. Hanson are 3 white dudes, and I gather that most of their fans are white, but I would have hoped that sort of, they'd be sort of at least supportive in some effort, even if just given a thumbs up or something like that. But apparently they wouldn't. But then after that, someone leaked a deleted Pinterest account belonging to Zach, the young one, the small one, who was 12. He's probably like 40 now, something, but he was young back then. So apparently what happened was... So he was 11 when they released this album, but the Pinterest account housed a trove of pro-gun memes, many of which were racist, transphobic, homophobic, etc., etc. Yeah, sure. One that supported George Zimmerman, who killed Trayvon Martin. Another comparing the right to use an AR-15 rifle with Rosa Parks' right to sit on a bus. So this is one of the members of Hanson sort of collecting this stuff. And other memes included one that said, had like a man who don't like guns as gay. So there you go.
Sure.
Probably true, I don't know. And a man wanting to dress like a woman to having a mental illness. So I think that what we're going to say there is that Hanson, the memes that the young Hanson was sharing probably don't align well with their fan base or general 2021, I guess, sort of, people supporting, the causes, I guess.
The problem is that, I mean, he'd be 37 or so now. So, I mean, he'd be right, in prime territory for, being on the internet, sending memes to other people.
Yeah, exactly. So, look, I think the problem is that probably just didn't really align with the fan base and sort of shit. But you're right. I mean,
he
I'm
wouldn't
sure
align with the fan base then, but, 13-year-olds now wouldn't be into that. But other 37-year-olds might be. They're
that's
probably
true.
all on the same websites.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, look, it's one of those things, I guess, where once that was revealed, a lot of people were like, oh, that's no good, but I don't know whether it's really diminished their fan base. Look, I've burnt all my Hanson shit since finding this out, Tom.
He did do that follow-up Red Pill. There was that attempt to restart their career.
Absolutely. Look, the three members of Hanson have 15 kids amongst them. Well, that's a warning sign for me, I think. So that's way too many kids for three members of Hanson.
That says healthy Christian family from the Midwest to me.
Yeah, exactly right. And look, I think basically the other brother, the eldest one, as part of this Hanson Gate thing, he posted an Instagram story talking about how our government wants to cancel Thanksgiving, Christmas and Easter because of COVID, and I will not comply. So,
well, that's why they need all those guns, Ben, because they've become frontline warriors in the war on Christmas.
Yeah, exactly,
so,
sure.
And I'm sure they're also toilet warriors as well, Got to keep those people out of our toilets.
Yeah, so look, I think they haven't done a lot in recent years to sort of probably... I guess a lot of their fan base, I gather, are probably females as well, perhaps. So I don't know whether sort of the beliefs that they've... Well, I guess some of the things they've posted are probably...
Well, so was... I mean, Silverchair's fan base were... I'm sure there was a big chunk of women there in theirs.
Yep.
I mean, this could have been Silverchair, really.
Yeah,
which still says a lot for Silverchair, I reckon, because Hanson had a rich family backing them up and setting them up for success, whereas Silverchair had a room with no bathroom and no sink. They didn't even have any good tasting water.
No, it's very hard to drink, yeah.
But, interestingly, the Silverchair-Hanson comparison wasn't just drawn by me after I woke up from a general anaesthetic. Dolly magazine were obsessed with the debate and published numerous multiple-page articles out about it, leading to a fiery debate across their letters page for several years, which I thought was what you were referring to by Hanson. But yeah, if I just look through what some of these tweens had to say, Zach Hanson is the living angel of rock, says Nicole from Boembe.
Yep.
Are you totally nuts? Hanson rules. Silverchair is so disgusting. Taylor is a gorgeous babe. His eyes make me melt.
Yep.
Silverchair are a thing of the past. So Silverchair are already out at the age of 16.
Oh, no.
What else have we got here? Hanson rock, and I'm getting sick of people putting them down. Hanson's music doesn't have any real meaning to it. I mean, a 12-year-old isn't exactly going to be a love expert, says Kylie from Bradbury, WA, who's
She's
obviously a love expert. After going to a Silverchair concert, I realised I need more posters and pics of these Aussie spunks.
Ooh.
I simply can't get enough of Ben, Chris and Daniel. Notice she puts you first.
Yeah, I did. I
top.
noticed that,
yeah.
Well, that's good. Yeah, good to see that Dolly were tackling the really difficult issues, Silverchair v Hanson.
It's true. There's nothing uncomfortable either about 13-year-olds sexualising 15-year-olds.
No, not at all.
To sell magazines for 19-year-olds, I'm assuming the editing's done. Hanson are try-hard bopper dags. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Silverchair are 100 million times better. Hanson are no competition, and no one should even ask who rules, because Silverchair will always rule and Hanson will always suck.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's from a mother, supposedly. Wow. Although she might have been using... Oh, no, sorry, it's from Mrs. Johns.
Oh,
she
no,
might
Daniel's
have snuck
mum.
in, yeah.
Look, it's good, yeah. Look, for those that don't know, was that Dolly or Girlfriend magazine?
That's Dolly.
Yep, cool. Aged at, probably, children, I guess. But these are the big debates that you need to have at the time. And look, I think that I agree with all of those quotes that people have said, because it's really different. You know, I feel that I'm in the middle of these, Tom. You know, definitely, you know, Zach is definitely a spunk, but, you know, Daniel's lyrics probably speak to me a bit more. So, am I in Camp Hansen? Am I in Camp Silverchair? It's like Blue Oasis for me all over again. It's really hard to know. Look, I think I'll probably go the Silverchair group, but let's just say that, you know, I do respect the boys from Hansen, apart from Zach, who sounds like that he's, you know, a racist. So.
Well, back then it was a different story.
Yeah, it was.
It's obvious, for instance, according to Liz from Candelo, New South Wales, it's obvious that Hansen are way better than Silverchair. But why, Liz? Well, the answer is the worst thing that Hansen's done was spit off a hotel balcony, but Daniel Johns goes and drives without a licence. How stupid.
Yeah, that's true. It's true.
That's right. I like my rock stars well-behaved, Ben.
So do I. Look, I like them to at least, you know, abide by sort of traffic rules and regulations. I think that driving without a licence is probably not the way to go when you're in a rock band. But, look, to be honest, they probably get chauffeured around a lot, so maybe didn't need a licence, but then realised you had to go to the shops to pick up something and then just went, oh, fucking hell, I'll just pop down. Everyone, you know, been there, just jump in the parents' car, drive down, get busted. But, you know, spitting off a balcony, you know that.
I mean, you could take someone's eye out. I mean,
especially
not really, you couldn't, but, you know.
What if he had SARS or something and sort of spat it out and it sort of went in someone's eye and it's like, ah. So, yeah, look, here's one thing that I want to raise, Tom. I can't think of many things worse to have to endure than the Hanson Back to the Island destination concert event. So
tell me more about it. I managed to miss it somehow.
Yeah, so look, it's a rare musical escape, Tom, that takes music fans to a world-class resort destination on the Caribbean shore to enjoy connecting with other music fans in a beautiful place while sharing once-in-a-lifetime musical experiences with Hanson as your host. Mm-hmm. So they've been doing this for 9 years, Tom. You can go to an island. It sounds a lot like the fucking Fire Festival, I tell you what.
It does.
And Hanson will perform for you on this. It's just Caribbean island with Hanson, other Hanson fans for 4 days. So January 2022 is the next one. It's in Jamaica. Jewel Paradise Cove. This is what you get. Escape to the tropics to kick off Hanson's 30th year together on the beaches of the Caribbean. 5 days, 4 nights at the Jewel Pacific Cove, Tom, with airport to resort transport.
Sure.
That's included. 3 Hanson concerts, plus Isaac, Taylor, and Zach solo shows.
Sure.
Plus special guests to be determined. But they are coming.
I really like to be determined. They're great.
Yep. Special Back to the Island merchandise packages, individual photos with the band, 2 sessions, team games with Isaac and Zach, a dance party with Taylor, resort activities, glass bottom boat tour, weather permitting, additional charges apply. Reef snorkeling excursions, also weather permitting, additional charges apply. Kayaking and other non-motorised water sport adventures with instructors, beach and pool volleyball. So that's what you get in all of this. Rooms start at $1,799 per person based on double occupancy.
Sure.
So are you prepared, Tom? I'll put together my 1,800, but are you prepared to get your 1,800 together for this?
Sure.
For 5 days of pure Hanson attack. There's three Hanson concerts.
I mean,
plus solo sets.
It sounds great. It sounds like living in a real-life episode of The White Lotus, except instead of Alexandria Daddario, I get to look at 3 guys who had a hit in 1997 with a song called Mbo, one of whom at least is some sort of weird racist.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
at least one.
And you're telling me I can have that for just $1,800 plus probably an extra $3,500 for plane tickets. So
yeah,
for
exactly.
a measly $5,000,
Yep.
I can pay for Hanson to go on holiday and subsidise their smorgasbord
Exactly.
prices.
But you are seeing 3 concerts.
That's true. I
Yep.
will get 3 concerts. I hope one of them's unplugged because I always wanted to see Hanson.
Oh, would be good. And an individual solo set from each of the members as well.
Is that a euphemism?
Yeah.
Because that would make slightly more sense.
Yeah. Look, just remember to bring an extra couple of dollars in the wallet, Tom, because I know that you want to go on that glass bottom boat tour, weather permitting.
Oh,
but
that's not included.
No, that is additional charges. Okay, weather permitting. So glass bottom boat, and also the snorkeling. Also weather permitting, and also extra charges for that. So. But who? Do you have time for snorkeling when you got 3 Hanson concerts? I'll spell it out for you, Tom. 3 Hanson concerts, a solo set from all of them, special guests to be determined, photo sessions. I'm not snorkeling. I don't need to worry about that. So.
Your entertainment's already set up.
Absolutely. So look, it sounds like probably I can't think of anything worse that I would want to go to in my life than that. Hanging out with 3 former child star racists on an island in Jamaica. So I don't know. But look, I don't know. 8 cents, Discogs?
That's more than I would have thought, in all honesty.
2.5 mil on the Spotify. That's a lot.
More than I would have
it's a
thought
lot
too.
more. But they do have those 2 Christmas albums, don't
I
forget.
guess they've got a little bit of kind of wiggle style ironic thing to them. They do pop up on shows every now and then, they're not...
Yeah, but also you got to remember that they are still going now. They're still doing this island tour. They're still releasing albums, obviously. But in terms of mainstream success, there was this song, the follow-up single, Where Is the Love, which I think was a top 10 hit. And then for the last 22, 3 years, they've had no hits.
Yes.
So they're obviously dog shit now. They're worse than they're worse than what they were at this time. So I don't know, that island vacation. I mean, I'm not sure whether you're going to be getting a lot of hits. I don't think so. Look,
I wonder how many people show up on it. I mean,
I suppose if they do it every year.
I suppose if Kid Rock can headline a Kid Rock's rocking the most Caribbean cruise, then anything is possible. Although, I mean, much as I hate to admit it, Kid Rock has had a hit song sometime in the last 20 fucking years.
Yeah, I think so. That's right. Yeah, for sure. But look, we also know that Isaac, he hates the coronavirus. He doesn't want anything to get in the way of Christmas or the Hanson back to the island trip, obviously. I think that's the big takeaway, that I assume that he was sort of tweeting that to be like, no one can take our Hanson back to the island away from us.
I wouldn't have thought he would have been much of a fan of the actual inhabitants of the Caribbean islands either, but then again, I suppose the cast of White Lotus.
Yeah, exactly. Look, for sure. Here, lyrical highlights. I can't imagine there are many.
Well, there aren't. I mean, as you pointed out, the chorus is basically a series of mouth noises.
Bop, bop, a dip, bop, boo, dop, a dip, bop, bop.
It's not great, is it? I will give them this. The verses are weirder than I remembered.
Yep.
They appear to have been trying to actually say something, although what, I don't know. If you start acting strange, if love ever changed, I'd be suspicious of their modern-day scheme, replacing a woman with a love machine. Now, Ben, I know my prison psychologist advised me not to ask this question again, but is an 11-year-old MRA trying to sell me a used fleshlight? Because that seems to be what's happening here. And no wonder he ended up on the internet if this is what he's into at this age.
That's clearly what the song's about, and I think that, the less said about it, the better, probably, just because I think that there's going to be a lot of, quote, merchandising opportunities at Back to the Island, Tom. I think that's sort of what...
Yeah.
So I don't know what all the merchandise is, but probably a fleshlight, maybe some sort of... would they be selling Hanson like dildos based on their actual dicks?
I would think for $2,000, and given their current fame level, they wouldn't bother moulding the dildos. You'd get the real thing.
Yeah, okay. You'd get
a series of private room concerts.
How much would a 3-pack of Hanson dick candles set you back, do you think, from the Back to the Island merchandising table? All 3 of them.
Once again, I think that the merchandising table with the dick candles would be less candles and more just holes drilled in the table with their actual dicks sticking through. Very much for sale.
Could well be. Absolutely right. But look, I'd pay $20 for a 3 Hanson dick pack, I guess. Candle pack.
I was going to say I'd pay $20 for a 3-way with Hanson.
Oh, that'd be more than that, I think. So they'd be charging more, I think, Tom. So yeah, but
$2,000. Apparently.
$2,000,
right.
exactly right.
Okay, well that's enough about 3.
Yeah, I can move on from those guys. So look, I don't think we'll hear from them again. Thank goodness. Up next is Puff Daddy, as he was known at the time. I think probably P Diddy now, or Diddy or some other bullshit. Faith Evans featuring 112, I'll Be Missing You.
Yes.
Now, Tom, this is an emotional one. On the 9th of March 1997, while visiting Los Angeles, Notorious B.I.G. or Biggie Smalls or Biggie, had a lot of nicknames, as we know, murdered in a drive-by shooting.
Yeah.
The assailants remained unidentified even to this very day, so no one knows who killed Biggie. Some people say that, was Tupac involved? We don't know. Was it someone else? Was it probably, Suge Knight, some other madness? We don't know.
Did Tupac get shot at the same time or on the
It's
same
very
night?
simple. Not the same night, but Tupac and Notorious B.I.G. died in very close succession. So
I heard a theory that it was a fairly convincing one laid out, but I can't remember the details. But that it was two African American police officers who had gang connections, possibly, which is why they were never caught, because they were able to do it sort of off duty and cover their own tracks.
Yeah.
But fuck knows.
But yeah, I mean, that's crazy that sort of almost 25 years later, this remains unsolved. There's another theory that it was the young one from Hanson, the 11-year-old kid, who we know is a racist.
He didn't like sharing the limelight,
he didn't.
Did he?
So
he did have
went,
a large gun collection.
Exactly. He has the guns, has the connections, went and just offed Biggie because he didn't like sharing the music charge. But look, anyway, so... he only released one album at that point.
Really?
Before, he only released one.
He's kind of a show.
But what happened, and it happens a lot with, rap music, that he released another two after his death, one being a duets album that he really couldn't consent to because he's dead. So there's nothing worse than that.
Yep.
We're going to take some, you just fucking around with your friends in the studio, but we'll chop that up and try and do a duets album or something. And the other one sort of being, I think, just another sort of almost complete album that they sort of finished off. But he's sold over 21 million albums in the US, which is pretty good. A lot of those after he died. Sort of Tupac as well. Remember when Tupac died and he just released an album every year throughout the next decade?
But he had more than one album while
he
was
did.
alive,
Yeah,
though. I mean,
absolutely.
Honestly, that shows how little I know about this era of hip-hop.
Yeah.
But one fucking album, man.
Yeah. So, look, Rolling Stone have called him, quote, the greatest rapper that ever lived, and Billboard named him one of the greatest rappers of all time. Now, look, I don't really think that Rolling Stone know anything about any music, but look, I'll take their word on it that he's the greatest of all time. But look, he was obviously very, very good. The Source made him, they named him the greatest rapper of all time in the 150th issue. And look, he's obviously very, very talented. And look, MTV even as well, number 3 on their list of greatest MCs of all time, calling him possibly the most skillful on the mic. And in 2020, he was introduced into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So look, obviously, very storied career, a lot of respect from across the industry. And look, it's safe to say that he was held in very high regard in hip-hop circles. So what better way to pay tribute to him than by getting Puff Daddy to provide a rather uninspired rap over an uncleared sample of the Police's Every Breath You Take?
Yeah.
Which is what this is.
Yep.
This is dog shit, and I feel that the Notorious B.I.G. deserved significantly more.
Yeah, yes. Puff Daddy was never one to turn down a marketing opportunity.
No, absolutely. His wife, Faith Evans, does show up for the chorus, though, in this song.
Biggie's wife, not Puff Daddy's
Yeah,
wife.
sorry, Biggie's wife. And despite her husband just being murdered, her performance has all the emotion of someone who's just found out their high school boyfriend of 2 weeks that they're not really that into is like boning Sheena. Like it's sort of effectively just her going, every breath you take.
Not great,
like it's pretty bad.
It's got less emotion than the Sting original.
Oh, isn't that saying something?
I was also curious about the 112 story, as you mentioned before. It turns out that they were an R&B vocal group on Bad Boy Records, which was Puff Daddy's label.
Yep.
They consisted of, in a surprising development, 4 handsome black dudes of about the same age with great abs. Their self-titled album was their only release before this song won a Grammy, although it did feature the hits Jacuzzi, Let's Get Soapy Girl, Love You All Night, bracket in my jacuzzi, end bracket, Bubble Bath Lover, and Girl I Told You Don't Cut Your Toenails in There, You'll Block the Jets, Girl You Nasty, which was, it was 5. None of them really got that high in the charts.
No.
But yeah, it
Big
did lead
hits
them to
nevertheless.
this song. So
Oh, absolutely, and that's the thing. They were stepping stones to end up getting on like a Notorious B.I.G. sort of tribute track. So that was pretty good.
to
Look,
this day, whenever somebody says, "What's 60 plus 52 to me?" I do find myself thinking of 112.
oh, I often do. Absolutely right. I'm always just going, yeah, I remember those guys. They were pretty good. Look, permission wasn't given for the use of the sample. Sting sued, and he received 100% of the song royalties.
Yeah.
So he was reportedly, when this song was at its sort of height, earning $2,000 a day from royalties from the track. And apparently Police guitarist Andy Summers called the sample, quote, a major rip-off, which it is. It's effectively just an instrumental of the song.
Yep.
And he found out after hearing it on the radio. He said, I was walking around Tower Records and the fucking thing would be playing over and over. It was very bizarre while it lasted. So, yeah.
I know we're sometimes in two minds about this, but this is in the mid. Like this happened several times last year, and it will go on to keep happening in this period. I don't know why, but yeah, I mean, the Police deserved it for this one. I'm not the biggest Sting fan in the world, but this is another just straight up hip hop rip off song.
Yep.
It's just Every Breath You Take with a former alleyway ticket scalper wanking all over it, lyrically speaking. Like his song Come With Me from the worldwide success hit movie Godzilla, starring badass action hero, middle-aged Ferris Bueller and a lady who is apparently now in the witness protection program. That was just Kashmir by Led Zeppelin with a former alleyway ticket scalper wanking all over it. Like, seriously, could he not have afforded some session musicians to come up with something? Oh, man.
Look, it's a pretty shit tribute, isn't it? To sort of, this. It's dog shit, I think. I think it only got to number one because there are probably Biggie fans that are like, oh, no, it's so emotional. Oh,
yeah,
no,
and
let's check
because
it out.
Every Breath You Take is quite a good song
Exactly,
as well.
exactly. So, look, the video does feature Puff Daddy on a motorcycle, which is pretty cool.
Always good to see.
And look, I know Puff Daddy was one of the biggest names in hip-hop. He's amassed a massive fortune. I think somewhere in the vicinity of $750 million, according to Forbes. So he's obviously very wealthy. But I'm going out on a limb and saying that everything he's ever done is total dog shit, this included. Never been a fan of his work. I think he's pretty awful. Sorry, Tom, I shouldn't say that. He has done some good things. So, look, in 1991, he promoted an AIDS fundraiser with Heavy D and the Boys, which is, everyone loves Heavy D and the Boys, at the City College of New York Gymnasium, following a charity basketball game. So, look, it's a very noble thing to sort of do that, raise money for AIDS. The event was oversold, a stampede occurred, and 9 people died. So that was okay. But look, what I will say, a lot more people died of AIDS. So in many ways, those 9 people, martyrs, they went there, they died, but then the money Puff Daddy raised went towards helping find, a cure for AIDS. Sure. So look, in many ways, I think those 9 people probably they died for the right reasons.
I'm sure Puff Daddy only collected a small profit off their deaths
No doubt.
and gave the rest of it to a charity that looked suspiciously like something he'd drawn a logo for on a blank piece of paper he found on the ground.
Yeah, exactly right.
Coffee stains on it.
Exactly.
But Heavy D is Sir Mix-a-Lot, isn't it?
No, they're different people.
Oh, they are. Okay.
Heavy D's now that we found love,
but
what are we going to do?
Did he change his name to something else?
Oh, he might have.
But it's not Sir Mix-a-Lot.
No, Sir Mix-a-Lot is a different dude.
Maybe someone told me that years ago and I just remembered it.
They look very similar, I think. So. Absolutely. Any lyrical highlights? Anything you got for this?
I'm sure. I mean, there's not much to say, really.
No.
Every breath you take, every move you make, every bond you break, every step you take, I'll be watching you. Mm-hmm. Oh, sorry, that's the actual song.
Oh, okay.
The Puff Daddy version goes like this. Every step I take, every move I make, every single day, every time I pray, I'll be missing you. Thinking of the day when you went away, what a life to take, what a bond to break, I'll be missing you.
Yeah.
So you can tell they're very different.
They are
songs.
very, very different. Absolutely. Look, the ultimate tribute to the ultimate rapper. So, look, Puff Daddy, Faith Evans, and 112. Puff, 7.5 million on Spotify.
Oh, yeah?
Faith, 3.5 million on Spotify.
Mm-hmm.
That surprises me. I don't know what other things she's done. 112, 2.7 million on Spotify.
Okay.
So they've all got a bit of Spotify action happening, and you can buy this for 11 cents on Discogs. So look,
Okay.
I'm going out on a limb and saying that was pretty fucking terrible. So
At least get "Come With Me" off the Godzilla soundtrack.
yeah, exactly.
Got a good, guitar break in it because
Yeah.
it's actually the dude from Led Zeppelin.
Yeah, look, I think you're right. Just go listen to the actual Police song. It's sort of less annoying. So cool. All right, up next for 4 weeks, Will Smith. Men in Black, Tom.
Yes, about time.
We did mention we were talking about Men in Black earlier this episode. Look, Men in Black was the biggest film of the year. We did mention that at the start of the show. Look, Will Smith provided the single to obviously Men in Black. So,
Yep.
rap song about being one of the Men in Black. Then he's in the film Men in Black. So it's that sort of Will Smith
I
tie-in.
was trying to remember where it actually appears in the film.
I don't know if it's even
I
in there.
don't
I'm
think
not
it actually
sure.
is. I think maybe it's over the last half of the credits in grand old 90s
Yep.
tradition.
But do you miss Will Smith providing a rap to the soundtrack of a film that he is in?
Yes,
Yep.
yes.
There's-
I miss in general the 80s style of writing a song about a film that encapsulates the entire plot.
Oh,
of the
absolutely,
film.
yeah. For sure. So look, there's this one, which is obviously a great song. There's Wild Wild West. You mentioned it's
Sure.
not the best film, but there's a song for that as well. And I think what happened is that what we see is that this song, very popular song, straight to number one. Men in Black made a lot of money, as we heard at the top
Yep.
of the show.
Big success.
Very, very popular film. Wild Wild West. The song. Yeah, it's okay, it's fine, but it did its job of promoting the film, and Wild Wild West made a lot more money than the budget. So it made a profit, I guess you can say. It wasn't the greatest film, but it was still able to turn a profit. So I was sort of having a look at I had a look at his IMDb page and was sort of thinking, he hasn't done many songs I don't know whether he's done songs for any of his other films at all, or at least he doesn't really do it
No.
anymore. There's been a bit of a gap
Maybe
there.
Wild Wild West put him off the
Yeah, but
quality.
I think so. But
Surprised he made any movies.
Exactly. But I was having a look, Tom, as I said at the IDB, and I sort of thought, what are some of the films that Will Smith did that weren't really successful films, that if he had have done a rap soundtrack in there,
Yes.
could have probably vaulted that into the next sort of level and could have made the film a lot more profitable, maybe made those films that did make a huge loss for the studios, made them some money, and obviously also produced another Will Smith classic song. So I was having a look through, and one of the ones that stood out for me, just for example, The Legend of Bagger Vance, Tom. Are you a fan of The Legend of Bagger Vance?
I prefer Finding Forrester.
Yeah, look,
But I'm sure Legend of Bagger Vance has a lot to offer in the magical Negro subgenre.
The magical Negro subgenre, exactly right. It did cop a little bit of flack for that, but let me just say that, look, for those that haven't seen The Legend of Bagger Vance, you got Matt Damon. He's a golf guy. He's trying to learn how to play golf. Mm-hmm. And then you've got Will Smith, who is his caddy. So he's helping him out along the track. But there was no rap song in the film, and it was a massive flop, and it lost a heap of money. So I was sort of thinking, if Will had have done a rap for the song, a rap song for the film, could have really made a difference. So I was sort of just, thinking to myself, what would that sort of sound like? So apologies, I just put this together, earlier today, so it's not the best, but I was thinking something like this. So he just goes,
They call me Bagger Vance. Why don't you take a chance on me? I can be your caddy. Yeah, I can teach you everything you need. So boy, yeah, listen to my rap if you want to reduce that handicap. Yeah, I'll give you my clubs, teach you all about love, how to place the tee. There's so much you can learn from me, like how to swing. I can teach you anything, how to hit the ball. I can teach you it all, cause I'm Bagger Vance. Yeah, work my shaft. I'm Bagger Vance. Show you how to stroke the head. I'm Bagger Vance. Show you how to caress those balls. I'm Bagger Vance. Yeah, come on. Bagger Vance. Yeah, stroke my shaft. Bagger Vance. Yeah, work my head. I'm Bagger Vance. Put it in my hole. I'm Bagger Vance. Yeah, caress my balls. I'm Bagger Vance. Yeah, work my shaft. I'm Bagger Vance. Yeah, stroke my head. I'm Bagger Vance. Get it in my hole. I'm Bagger Vance. Yeah, caress those balls. I'm Bagger Vance. Yeah, stroke the balls. I'm Bagger Vance. Yeah, work my shaft. I'm Bagger Vance. Yeah, work my hole. I'm Bagger Vance. Yeah, caress those balls. I'm Bagger Vance.
So I was thinking something like that, Tom, because sort of what it does is it demonstrates in the film what the character's about. Because Bagger Vance is the caddy, so he can teach Matt Damon about sort of the golf club, so the grip on there.
And it's a really old-fashioned sort of wholesome family type of film.
It is, yeah. So it's set in the 30s. It's 1930s.
It's a departure from the kind of today's kind of sleazy rap world.
Exactly.
Full of sexual references in every song and that sort of thing.
Yeah, so I think that, and what's nice about that song is that it demonstrates not just to Matt Damon in the film, but us as the audience, what Bag of Ants is about. So he's the caddy. He's sort of saying, look, here's the golf club. Here's, you need to become one with the club. You got to, you need to learn about the grip, the shaft of the club, the head of the club. I can show you how to sort of, put the tee in the ground, really swing the club and sort of caress the ball off the tee down the green. And I think the song captures all of that. Bag of Ants, caress my balls, and Bag of Ants, work my shaft. And I sort of think that that's what the song sort of shows. Matt Damon's in the film. He's like, I'm introduced to this character. He's told me all about his caddying skills. I'm on board. So I think that would be great. And I also feel that you could use that 5, 6, 7 times in the film. So, when he first meets the, Charlize Theron character, he's like, oh, god damn, look at that bitch. And she's like, oh my god, who are you? Why are you saying? He goes, I'm Bag of Ants, yeah, caress my balls, and Bag of Ants, work my shaft. And then maybe sort of there's another party scene where he's sort of like, Will Smith walks in, there's all these old white guys, it's super boring, and everyone's like, and then he walks up, there's one of those old record players in the corner, like a 78 sort of shellac vinyl on there. He just goes up and starts scratching it. Bag of Ants, yeah, caress my balls. Bag of Ants, work my shaft. And I think you could probably use it as like a sort of, probably, like in films how they like to use a bit of that sort of same motif throughout the film. So I think there's some sort of suggestions there. Look, I don't want to tell the director how to make the film, but it lost $40 million, so maybe you need some tips. Every time Will Smith just walks on screen, Bag of Ants, sort of play that so that we know that he's in there. So I think putting that throughout the film would really benefit the film, but also from a promotional point of view, Tom, you release this song, a month before the film comes out.
Sure.
So people are just, and it's a great song. It goes straight to, and I'm just an amateur. So once you take what I've sort of just there, the sort of raw bones of it, and imagine
Puff Daddy have a go
and
at
you
it.
put Puff Daddy in there and Will Smith sort of, using their swagger and making it. I think you're right. Puff and Will together working on that, they can sort of, work it to make it better. Release that straight to number 1. It's in the IGA when you're getting eggs. It's on Rage. It's all over the place. People are going, what is this? What is this? Bag of Ants, caress my balls. What is this? What is this song? So they go opening weekend. There's just lines around the block. Everyone goes to see it. I reckon it makes its $80 million on the opening weekend. And there you go. They've made heaps of money and everyone wins. The film's better because it's more upbeat with some rap in it. They've made their money back so then they can go and produce other films.
Yep.
Everyone wins. So I think that Will Smith doing, Legend of Bag of Ants rap would have been great, and he should have done that in every film he has ever been in, regardless of when. I mean, this film's from the 30s, but that's okay. He can still rap in it. He did it in Wild Wild West. He rapped in that, and that was in the Wild West times, I guess. So just, Muhammad Ali could be rapping, iRobot, all that shit. So I think that's what he should have been doing, except maybe this film, because this song's fucking awful. What do you think?
Well, I mean, yeah, the song itself. Musically, this contains a sample of the song Forget Me Nots by, as in the flowers, by Patrice Rushen, or Russian.
Oh.
When you see how much work Will Smith is putting into his rhymes at this stage in his musical career, you might be surprised to hear that when I say contains a sample of the song Forget Me Nots, I actually mean is the entirety of the song Forget Me Nots with all of the music and choruses except he says Men in Black instead of Forget Me Nots, which have the same number of basic syllables. But Tom, you might say, who gives a fuck about a 1982 funk disco song called Forget Me Nots by someone I've never heard of? Well, what if I told you that it was covered in 95 by a little band called La Bouche?
Oh.
One of what I sometimes heard you call the Big Four of Eurodance.
They're definitely
Ben Gillies.
They're definitely in the Big Four of Eurodance.
What if I also told you that Forget Me Nots has been sampled in 47 other songs, including Fast Love by George Michael from last year?
The Big Four of gay toilet singers.
And heaps of others, Evermore, Dougie Fresh, ABC, and of course in the song Knots by Danny Cruz, D's Knots by Red X, Forget Me Thoughts by Young Gravy, and Forget Me Nuts by Buzz Compass. So it's a song with a lot of musical pedigree, and it's a really good song because every good thing in this song is basically that song. Plus, again, some fairly lazy, mumbly Puff Daddy style rapping from from old Will over the top of it. We're your first, last, and only line of defence against the worst scum of the universe. So don't fear us, cheer us. If you ever get near us, don't jeer us. We're the fearless MIBs, freezing up all the black. What's that stand for? Men in Black. I mean, it's not the worst rap we've covered.
Yeah,
the original song, yeah. Or, on the other hand, it does just basically reel off the plot of the film, and, you know, I'm far from the coolest dude out, but Will Smith is only 29 here, and he's already starting to sound a bit like a dad trying to drop some hip-hop slang on TikTok. Yeah. I think maybe it's weird. I find it weird because maybe he's like, Will Smith is one of the most naturally charming, unaffected personalities when he acts. Kind of like Tom Hanks, you know.
Yep.
Even if it's not exactly what he's like in private, it seems so convincing that you kind of want to believe that that's what he's really like. The problem is that mainstream hip-hop by this stage is not about parents not understanding or getting beaten up by Mike Tyson. It's all bravado and swagger and dick-swinging stuff and the latest phraseology, and it just doesn't really suit his image by this point, I don't think.
Yeah.
Or maybe he just hung out with so many white people on movie sets that their whiteness rubbed off on him, and, yeah, I don't know. What I'm saying is that 25 years on, the Will Smith from this movie is still a heck of charming. I watched it the other night when I was a bit drunk. He's still incredibly charming and likeable. But the guy trying to be suave and dope in this video just comes off like a black Justin Timberlake wearing Ray-Bans indoors, you know, which is not really what anybody wants to come off like in 2021. Yeah, I don't know. What did you think of it? How do you think it's aged?
Oh, look, I thought that my Legend of Bagavance song was better than this, Tom, and that says something.
It certainly had more inventive rhymes.
It did, yeah, absolutely.
If you ever get near us, don't jeer us. We're the fearless. I mean, Jesus.
Yeah, look, I didn't really like this song at the time. Wasn't a big fan of the film. I don't know. Like, I understand it was a bit sort of quirky and like, they're, saving
it's not for everyone.
No, this is sort of, and look, I didn't hate it. I remember watching, I didn't go, that was the most dog shit thing ever, but I don't think I sort of had the same affinity for it as, like, I never bothered watching any of the sequels, and when they did that reboot 2 years ago, I was like, I'd rather be shot out of a cannon into a volcano than watch it.
So you haven't seen it since?
No, I saw
really?
it. I saw Men in Black in 1997, probably when it came out. I think I saw it at the movies. Had no intention of revisiting it or the sequels. And this song, I'm not feeling it because, as you said, like, it's just the samples that... So you've heard it in 50 other things, and it's a good sample, but, his rhyming's pretty uninspired. So, look, when I said that Will Smith should rhyme and do a song for every film he's ever made... look, I still stand by that because it would be weird for me to not stand by that. But
The Secret of Happiness rap and what is it? 7 pounds.
Yeah,
maybe Gemini Man that could have a.
I think all
After
of them.
Earth. I mean, you could just hear him after. That'd be After Earth straight away.
Yeah,
with a rhyme from Willow and Jaden.
Was Jaden in After Earth? I think he was. Yeah, so they could do a duet, which would be pretty good.
Through it.
Yeah, exactly. So look, I think you should just rap in everything.
Yeah, I think you're right.
But yeah, for sure. So 7.5 mil on Spotify. I thought it might be a bit more than that. Like, Will Smith seems to. But I don't know. He hasn't really done a lot lately, though, has he? He's more. He's more
music
films
has
now.
he done recently?
Yeah, I think it's all film work these days, isn't it? So, which to his detriment. So
that's kind of what I was trying to say. Like, it took him decades to get bored with acting, but he seems bored of rapping in this already. Really, he seems like he could barely muster enough to give a fuck about the men in. I think
so. So look, if they remake The Legend of Bagger Vance, Will, you can use that. I know Jaden will be taking your role. Matt Damon might just play the same role he did previously. So yeah, you can use that if you want guys to sort of put it in a new direction. That's fine. I'll give that to you. I'll give that to you guys. It's okay. So yeah, 4 weeks for that. Up next for 6 weeks, fuck off, is Elton John, Candle in the Wind 97.
Yes, when we were trying to think of things that happened in 97, one of the things we somehow managed to overlook was that Princess died.
So yeah, now this is a fucking scam. Now I'm sorry, but Elton John was too lazy to write a new...
and Bernie Taupin, his longtime songwriter, who wrote the original. They were both too lazy.
Too fucking lazy to write a tribute song for Princess Diana, so they just pulled out one of the old hits from the other years, just went, let's just get that again, and let's just marginally change the lyrics. So look, the Notorious B.I.G. song was fucking dog shit. And look, they just used a Police sample, and Puff Daddy got someone else to write his rap, and someone else, did other bits for probably Puff Daddy. Evans. Whatever. Faith Evans. But yeah, so like, everyone wrote other shit, but at least somebody spent some time trying to do something for that Notorious B.I.G. song, which sucked. But look, Elton John did nothing with this. So look, it's not really a tribute to someone if you say, I'm going to do a tribute to you, if it's a song you've written decades before they've even died.
Yeah, comparing this to those last two songs, this shows the line between lazy and into fucking insulting territory. Even if you were a huge Notorious B.I.G. fan, do you really want Puff Daddy dedicating a new remix at your funeral where he's changed the lyrics from B.I.G. to B.E.N.?
Yeah,
really. That's a whole new level of can't be asked.
Well, Tom, you can sing the Legend of Bagaband song at my funeral if you want. I think I'd be happy with that. So do that. But completely agreed. Is Candle in the Wind the best song for Lady Diana as well?
Both of these things were said even at the time, even in this kind of whirlwind of public sympathy and love for Lady Di, which was a little bit out of nowhere. But hey, ignoring that, even at the time, people were like, "A, this is lazy as fuck," and B, was she really like fucking Marilyn? Which is who the original song is about. Like you say, I mean,
look, I think Candle in the Wind. Look, it's about someone that doesn't care or reckless behaviour.
Yep.
Does it fit into that? Someone who's sort of like, I guess, just a free spirit that doesn't really sort of care about consequences.
Someone who's a bit lost as well.
Exactly.
Like someone who doesn't,
So look, I mean, she did die in a high-speed car accident, so yeah, maybe she was reckless. I'm not sure.
I take your original point though. I'm sure they both died tragically, albeit in completely different ways. And they both did have famously shit taste in men, which is, I suppose, where you get the line, never knowing who to cling to, from the original song, which was equally true about Lady Di, but he was at least tasteful enough to edit that out of the original.
Yeah, exactly.
But really, they didn't have much else in common.
No.
It has to be said. They really weren't, other than being basically physically attractive,
Look, at this point in time, Tom, in 2021, I've never met Elton John. I don't know him personally, but look, obviously after this podcast might really take off one day, and we might sort of get to that sort of level where we're interviewing. Once we run out of ideas, we interview musicians. That seems to be sort of like the most boring fucking idea for a podcast. Let's just interview some guy that's been interviewed 1,000 other times. So let's assume that happens, Tom. We're just like completely devoid of ideas. Spotify pick us up and say, "Can you interview Elton John?" We do that, okay? We become mates. Elton seems like fun-loving guy. That's great. We become friends, and then I die in a high-speed paparazzi car chase. Can you please ask Elton at my funeral to do Crocodile Rock? Because I think that would be a fitting tribute to me. Do
you want me to get him to change the lyrics to "Had a Massive Cock" or something?
No,
like that,
you can just do Crocodile Rock. Make sure he gets Kiki D in there as well. Because I feel like Crocodile Rock was when he was at his most coked out, I think. So it would be a fitting tribute to just go... I mean, we all know the best songs are written on drugs, and that's, definitely something that Crocodile... Yeah, actually, straight edge hardcore bands do have some pretty sick mosh parts, so I think that maybe that's not factually accurate, but yeah.
I don't personally hate Elton generally. In fact, I kind of liked this song originally when it was just a sort of sweet little tribute to a tragic actress who died when he was a kid. And then he did this to it, so he kind of ruined two songs, really. So, I mean, good work, Knobhead. Although I suppose at least he was actually friends with Lady Di, as opposed to Marilyn Monroe, who he never even met.
Yeah.
And I guess it is worth saying that all the money from the sale of his single went to charity, which must have been a pretty happy charity because this was a UK and a US #1 also. And unbelievably, this still holds the record for best-selling UK single and best-selling Billboard single of all time.
Really?
Yes.
Fuck.
This was the first single ever classified diamond in the US.
What's that?
Guess how many diamond years? Have a crack.
Fuck. It'd have to be 10 million?
Yes.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
They dropped it down from... like 5 years before this, it's out of the 90s, they dropped it down because records were selling less than they had in the,
So this sold 10 million copies of the single in America?
Yes.
Where Princess Di isn't even really...
Yes.
I guess
and
she's
no,
famous. but-
no one else. I mean, other songs have sold diamonds since, but this still has the highest one. At this point...
That'll
just to
never
give
be
you-
beaten.
No. At this point, just to give you some fucking... some comparison,
Hmm.
gold in the US, gold is 500,000 records, and platinum is 1 mil. So if a song's triple platinum, that's 3 million. So this is 10 times platinum for this fucking song. As you say, celebrating the death of a princess in a different country, using a song by an artist from a different country, which was written originally 15 years earlier about a completely different person.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's crazy
You know,
for sure.
sometimes laziness pays off, I guess.
Yeah. So I guess, so Princess Di passes away and then in America sells 10 million. So
They did love her,
Yeah.
weirdly, but, you know.
yeah, I guess it's sort of interesting to sort of see, those sales figures. I mean, who would have to die to sell 10 million copies in Australia?
Exactly. I
Summers?
I don't even reckon if Beyonce died
No.
and fucking Kanye West wrote a lazy remix about how great Beyonce was, that would sell 10 million in America right now.
Yeah, exactly.
As you say, I think the days of that have just passed.
Well, yeah,
Of
I mean,
a single anyway.
Everything's streaming now, so yeah, I think you're right. It'd be very, very difficult to see anything selling 10 million copies ever again. But look, the money went to charity, so that's pretty good, I guess. Yeah, for
That's
sure.
something.
Is a fountain in Hyde Park a fitting tribute to a dead princess?
Especially one that it's not even so much a fountain; it just seems to be kind of Bigelow puddle type thing. Yeah, have you been there?
I have, yeah. Yeah, it's pretty. It's not very memorable, I don't think. But look, I don't know. You got to do something.
True.
You got to do like a statue's pretty boring. I think. Look, Hyde Park. I mean, it's everyone knows what Hyde Park is, and it's pretty central. It's pretty famous. So to have something in Hyde Park that's a fountain, maybe there's a fitting tribute. I don't know. So
It's a bit hard to tell with memorials what's going to age well and what's not.
Yeah.
I remember seeing a thing about I think it might be the coolest war memorial of all time. Or just, I know that's a slightly morbid thing to give an award to, so I'm not going to hand out a gold statuette or anything, but like, just personally, the Vietnam Wall in America, I can't remember where it is, but you know the one? It's just like a big, and it's sunk into the ground, and there's just little slots in it where people's names are, and it just gives you this immediate graphic impression of how many people died, when you see it up close. At the time when that came out, that was a subject of a massive outcry because it wasn't two cool-looking dudes standing on top of a big box, and the person who designed it was an Asian architect, which was, the same outcry would be if a Muslim tried to do a 9/11 fucking memorial or something now.
Yep.
But that over time has become this beloved sort of, deeply respectful seeming memorial for a war, but at the time people were, hated it, so fucking who knows.
Would Elton John do a single for a Muslim 9/11 memorial if they sort of wanted to do something along those lines?
Yeah, I'd dig something out of the back drawer, something off Yellow Brick Road and change the lyrics.
Exactly. Look, a lot of martyrs did die for Islam in that attack, so I guess...
They didn't even change all the lyrics, they just changed some of the lyrics.
Yeah, a couple of them,
Yeah.
Exactly, I don't really think it's... No, you're right, pretty weak. Are you going to sing them for me, Tom?
What do we got? Goodbye England's Rose, which was a term I don't think anyone had ever called her.
No.
I mean, there's such a thing as an English rose, but no. May you ever grow in our hearts. What does that fucking mean? You were the grace that placed itself where lives were torn apart. I think that's a reference to her charity work, although, it was more like philanthropy from a very rich person, really. You called out to a country and you whispered to those in pain, ? Now you belong in heaven and the stars spell out your name. I mean, it's so nauseating, really. And but then again, I can't blame Elton for that because that's Bernie Taupin as well. I mean, he was never the best lyricist in the world, but I thought he was better than that shit. Like I said, the Marilyn Monroe one has a kind of element of sort of nostalgic kind of whimsy to it that this doesn't have. This is just pure fucking schmaltz, you know.
It is,
it's
yeah.
just schmaltz.
And I think you're right, it sort of destroys the original song. Every time I hear this now, I just think, oh, it's
It
garbage.
degrades both of them. Don't go over your old shit. At least try and do a sequel or something. Don't rewrite
I
stuff.
think probably just sort of what you need to do is, and you might sort of say, look, Princess Di's passed away. It's very difficult to just pen a hit single immediately.
True.
So what you do is you put one in the back drawer. You write this song and then you go, oh, Princess, she's going to die one day. She'll probably die. Everyone dies. Let's throw that in the back drawer and then we might have to use it next year, might have to use it in 5 years, 10 years, whenever. But then when she does die, you just pull it out and everyone's like, oh, wow, that's a great song, Elton. You've done such an amazing job. And, of course, if you wrote it in 1983... and then she lives until now, all you do is you just put some Euro beats underneath it to make it contemporary, and people are like, oh, wow.
Well,
So,
I was going to say, some people did suggest that, although I think they played at her tribute concert, which was another huge event, but that it would have been more fitting for someone such as George Michael, who she was friends with, or Duran Duran, which were supposed to be her favourite band.
Oh, really good.
If they had done a single, because then, you know, their career's pretty much at an end anyway, really.
Fuck
so
yeah.
they could have, you know, it's sort of death or glory. And if people didn't like it, then it's just Duran Duran. Who cares?
so you're saying that Elton sort of did this without any blessing from the People's Princess? He just sort of jumped in and went, I'll do the tribute song. I'll do it.
The single, I'm sure he had blessing, and he was supposedly friends with her.
Yeah,
But
okay.
there was a giant big public concert thing that they had that had a whole range of bands performing afterwards. But numerous times it was said that Duran Duran was her favourite band.
Fucking
You know,
A.
I mean, she was a child of the late
Yeah.
70s, early 80s, so you know.
And look, you know, I think rather than Candle in the Wind, I think a lot more fitting tribute for Princess Di would have been Hungry Like the Wolf. I think that would have been great.
Yeah,
So,
or maybe Reflex.
yeah,
you know.
Girls on Film, one of those.
Girls
So I would have loved that. So Girls on
Change
Film.
the words for
Yep.
Girls on, I don't know, holiday permanently, because that was her job, basically.
Dies on film or something, I don't know. Dies on film. She's at a car crash, dies on film. Something like that. Like, I think it's pretty good. Maybe, you know, you tweak it a bit, but I think that could work. So.
This could be a B-side for the Bag of Ants song.
Oh, absolutely, for sure. Dies on film, yeah, in the next Men in Black film, I think, as well. So, yeah. Look... Yeah, I don't have a lot to say about this rather than...
No, there's not much else to say. I mean, it's not even an original song.
Yeah. Exactly. So that was for 6 weeks. So coming up now, Tom, for the rest of the year, starting on what date are we at
16th
here?
of November.
16th of November. I'm not sure what's happening here, but for the last part of the year in Australia at this point in time, this must be the worst 3-song run so far in the podcast, I think. Up to this point, we started in 83 up to we're up to 1997. I don't know, was LSD dropped in the water? Was there some sort of syphilis outbreak? Is it the BSE? We talked about last week, has mad cow taken over? But fucking oath. Up first for 3 weeks is Aqua with Barbie Girl. And this isn't even the worst of the next 3 songs, I wouldn't have thought.
I worked with a girl at my previous job who swore blind that other Aqua songs were different and better, and that she saw them live once and the lead singer was awesome.
Okay.
But the only way to test that theory would be for at least one of us to listen to more Aqua, so I guess it'll have to remain a mystery, Ben.
Yeah.
It sounds unlikely, but she also said that the lead singer took her top off in
Okay.
concert. Yeah, I didn't think they were that kind of act, but, sometimes live bands have a different vibe from the version you see in the music videos, Maybe in-person Aqua cultivate more of an underground sort of G.G. Allen style of performance.
Yeah, probably.
Guy with the orange frosted tips taking a dump on stage and throwing it around. Lead singer smears period blood on her cans and tries to fist fight people in the front row. Would that improve your opinion of Barbie Girl?
Yeah, look, I think so. I think, maybe they're more of a subversive act and I don't really understand sort of... what they're going for. I've sort of only seen the music video and I sort of think, oh, what is this dog shit? But maybe I'm wrong. And look, Tom, I don't really know because the lyrics to the songs themselves are a mystery. I mean, they might be making a statement about, the inflated value of sex appeal and attractiveness in society. Abnormally tiny waists and enormous breasts, Barbie dolls are sort of unrealistically proportioned, which can lead to self-esteem and body issue images in young girls. So it could be that, or, on the other hand, they might just be totally fucking pointless. I don't really know. I don't know what Aqua were trying to do here, but were they trying to make a statement, or is this just dog shit?
It's hard to say.
Yep.
It is legitimately hard to say.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Oh, sorry, I was just going to say, look, this has all the characteristics of Eurodance.
Yes.
But I feel like sort of, like, maybe from 95 onwards, Eurodance had a slightly different vibe to it. I don't know, a little bit less La Bouche.
Yeah.
But look, it had the production team in the background, female vocals, the dude rapping, and I'm doing inverted commas here because the rapping in this is fucking so inane that it makes La Bouche's Sweet Dreams of Rhythm and Dancing, Sweet Dreams of Passion Through the Night seem sophisticated, I think. But look, apparently this was written after the group saw an exhibition on kitsch culture. No shit. Everything about this is just...
I mean, like you say, you can sort of see it in the video, but they don't fully commit to it. You know what I mean? Like, there's a sort of deliberate toy-like fakeness to everything, but only up to a point. Like, none of the band really look like actual dolls, which kind of defeats the point of the whole look. I mean, not to sound shallow, but how much does a $2 shot blonde wig cost, for instance? About $2, I'm guessing.
I think there's something around that, yeah.
But, yeah.
Absolutely, and look, the absolute worst part of this, and let me just point out for a second that, you know, finding the worst element of this song is sort of, you know, like saying what's worse, brain cancer or Ebola. You know, it's sort of like it's difficult to sort of pull out the absolute worst bit, but it's definitely the dude sort of who's rapping or saying, "Come on, Bobby, let's go party," throughout the song. Like it's sort of. Just, you know, everything about it's shit, but that just sort of punctuates. Yeah,
sort of I'd put that up there with the guy from the Fugees last week saying one time, two times, just dropping that randomly.
Come on, Bobby, let's go party. It's just, I don't really know whether are there any redeeming features about this?
Oh, look, I don't know. It kind of feels like it wants to be satire, like you say, but there's not really any secondary viewpoint. Other than artificiality is artificial. Like, if I put on 180 kilos and a punchable smirk, then walk around going, I'm a Prime Minister, I'm an unqualified, supercilious cunt. That doesn't really qualify as satire, outside of maybe The Wedge or another mid-aughts Channel 9 sketch show. I don't think that would really pass muster anymore. And that's the thing, like, you're like, well, it's hard to even tell what they're saying about Barbie, like, other than that she's, I don't know.
Yeah, look, Tom, but I guess one thing I need to point out is that it didn't have to be this way. It didn't have to be this way at all. So what happened was this was the group's second attempt at fame. Before they came across the sort of overtly bubblegum Eurodance pop style that I guess they're renowned for, they were known as Joy Speed and released music that was different. I guess it was more subtle than this, more sophisticated, but look, that's faint praise, as a song sampling someone taking a shit is more sophisticated than Barbie Girl. But it was a different type of music which can be seen on their first single, a cover of the children's classic Itsy Bitsy Spider.
This is Joy Speed?
This is Joy Speed.
Okay.
So Joy Speed, they were forward-thinking, they did an Itsy Bitsy Spider cover. You know, it's the single, it's obviously just the nursery rhyme, and over the top there's some Euro beats and a dude rapping, itsy bitsy teeny weeny teeny little spider climbing up the wall. He's a clever little creature. He's really fast and so damn small. Teeny weeny spider. Now, that's the song that Joy Speed released. Look, Tom, either the lyrics are making a statement about the inflated value of sex appeal and attractiveness in society with abnormally tiny waists and numerous legs. Spiders are unrealistically proportioned, which can lead to self-esteem and body image issues in young girls. Either that or they're totally fucking pointless. Now, I don't really know which one of that is, but look, the Danish could have stopped this, Tom. The Danish could have said, Joy Speed, you're trash. Get the fuck out of here. At what point could someone have stopped Mao during the Great Leap Forward, which led to a famine killing 30 million people, Tom? Or Hitler, at what point should the Danes have stopped Aqua? They could have not bought their first single, Roses Are Red, or the follow-up, My Oh My, and maybe, just maybe, if the Danes hadn't have purchased those songs, Aqua would not have been able to invade the rest of the world with this. So, I don't know. I put the blame solely at the feet of the Danes.
Yeah, they're not a country that you typically associate with war crimes, but, they're definitely... Someone needs to go to The Hague for this one, for sure.
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, fucking hell. I listened to that Joy Speed song. It's one of the worst things I've ever heard. It's absolutely abysmal.
I thought for a minute you were going to say, they were better than Aqua, but no.
No, I mean, someone rapping itsy bitsy, teeny weeny little spider over Eurobeats is as bad as it sounds. But yeah, look, the Danes allowed them to continue on as Aqua, released 2 songs, and then, yeah, look, the rest is history. Look, do you have anything to say about the lyrics?
Well, the lyrics, everyone already knows the lyrics anyway. Yeah. I thought this was more interesting than the lyrics. It is a quotation of sorts. After the American released this song, Mattel sued Aqua on the grounds that they'd sexualised Barbie and caused damage to her image. This is from the official court transcript of the judge's ruling. Okay, so this is the judge speaking. When an MCA spokeswoman, that's Mattel, spokeswoman noted that each... Oh, no, sorry. So it's MCA versus Mattel. MCA are the record company. When an MCA spokeswoman noted that each album included a disclaimer saying that Barbie Girl was a social commentary that was not created or approved by the makers of the doll, the Mattel representative responded by saying, "That's unacceptable. It's akin to a bank robber handing a note of apology to a teller during a heist. It neither diminishes the severity of the crime nor does it make it legal." Then MCA filed a counterclaim for defamation based on Mattel representatives' use of the words bank robber, heist, crime and theft. But all of these are variants of the invective most often hurled at accused infringers, namely piracy. No one hearing this accusation understands intellectual property owners to be saying that infringers are nautical cutthroats with eye patches and peg legs who board galleons to plunder cargo. In context, all these terms are non-actionable rhetorical hyperbole. The parties are advised to chill.
Wow. What did the court say, Tom?
Well, that was Judge Alicia Silverstone from Clueless presiding. So, she's put the hammer down, the pink hammer, which has been resting on the back of her small, fluffy dog. But, yeah, no, they ended up, Mattel, they weren't permitted to ban the song. MCA got away with the warning.
Yeah, look, I think Barbie's one of those words that's probably just entered sort of common speech as sort of like Xerox or something almost. Yeah. Is it like, people just use it to refer to, she's a Barbie doll, like someone that sort of has no personality, or, it's one of those terms that just gets bandied around.
An enormous number of these cases, it seems to depend on whether the judge had a good breakfast that morning,
yeah, exactly.
recently broken up with their partner, or is just maybe, I don't know, according to this one, smoked a doob in the car park before coming in the morning.
And just went, probably listened to the song and just went,
How about you both chill?
Okay, Barbie, let's go party. Yeah, that sounds sweet to me. Fucking we need these guys to keep releasing music. All so right. 3.5 million for Aqua, 23 cents on the Discogs. Don't fucking pay that much money for this. It's terrible.
More money than I would have thought.
Absolutely. So up next, creating this unholy trilogy, Tom, is Chumbawamba with Tub Thumpin'.
Oh, God.
Now, fucking oath. Look, we've talked about Chumbawamba briefly in the year of the charity songs. I think it was 85 or something like that.
So they've been around for a while at this point.
These guys were critical of Bob Geldof and named their first album Pictures of Dying Children at Cell Records, and, argued... basically that, look, all of the things that Bob Geldof was doing with Live Aid was, primarily a cosmetic spectacle designed to draw attention away from the real political causes of world hunger. So the band, I guess, started as sort of a punk rock, post-punk, sort of art punk type band, sort of within the communist sort of political leanings. And they championed a variety of political and social causes, including animal rights, anti-war, class struggle, Marxism, feminism, gay liberation, pop culture, anti-fascism. So they were sort of, very much a sort of a punk, art punk collective that sort of did a lot of work in terms of sort of, I guess, looking at these social issues that in the 80s, I get, sort of things that
Yep.
today we take for granted, but probably a lot more fringe, I guess, in those days.
Yes.
So, look, Chumbawamba's second album was called Never Mind the Ballots, Here's the Rest of Your Lives, and it coincided with the general election and questions the validity of the British democratic system of the time.
Mm-hmm.
So the band adopted another name, Scab Aid, and they did a Let It Be song released that parodied a version of the Beatles song recorded by the pop superstar group Ferry Aid to raise money for a ferry disaster. So they were sort of always, I guess, doing things that were looking at, I guess, the hypocrisy of other sort of charity things and doing that and releasing various other stuff. So,
Jeez, they had high standard.
yeah, they did. Yeah, look, and they contributed music to a compilation album called Fuck EMI back in the 80s, and were critical of the label in the past. So, Tom, it was a surprise that when they signed to the label in 1997, people did accuse them of being hypocrites, but I'm sure their fears were laid to rest that the band would not sell out after hearing Tub Thumping, Tom. So, look, I guess what happened was that, you know, a lot of people sort of, when they signed this agreement with EMI, you know, as is one of those things when you've got sort of an indie sort of artist on sort of, you know, smaller labels and they sign up to a major label, they always sort of quote things and say, look, it's about the message, Tom, and I think that's what Chumbawamba was saying. It's about sort of, if we just sign with another indie label, we're preaching to the converted, where the message is just being regurgitated back to our fans. They already know the message. Our message is what's always been important. That's, you know, what we want to do. It's about sort of taking our message and getting out to as wide an audience as possible. To get that message out to the widest audience as possible, that the really important message, you need to sign to a major label because, you know, it exposes them to a larger audience, not just their own audience. The message can be delivered across such a wide range of people because it's a major label. You can get that out there, not just the message to their current fans, people that know the message. Let's get that message out there. We want to take this really important message. That's what Chumbawamba was saying. It's all about the message, Tom. They need to take the message and they want to get their message, Chumbawamba's message, out to as many people as possible. And, you know, you might be asking, Tom, what exactly was that message? He drinks a whiskey drink. He drinks a vodka drink. He drinks a lager drink. He drinks a cider drink. He drinks a drink that reminds him of the good times. He drinks a drink that reminds him of the bad times. And then someone just singing Danny Boy. So, Tom, it's really important they sign to a major label to get that message, that really important message out, not just to their fans, their current fans, the indie fans. That's a message you need to get out to the widest audience as possible. So I think they've really achieved their goal there.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's a pity they didn't maybe combine the getting the message out there to a larger audience with maybe actually saying something about what they supposedly stood for, but
what?
Hey.
What do you mean? Sorry, Tom, did you not hear me? He drinks a whiskey drink. He drinks a vodka drink. He drinks a lager drink. He drinks a cider drink. What is there to not understand?
The whiskey drink.
What is there not to understand? Yeah.
This is the first single from the album Tub Thumping.
Yep.
And the word tub thumping is slang for what the Yanks called stumping, which is, e.g., going around trying to rally up political support with vocal appeals. The liner notes from the album have a list of clever quotations relating to each song in order to sort of contextualise them, which actually works really well. I might be biased because I'm a sucker for a good quote, but it's a clever way to put a song in context without doing that didactic singer nonsense, like where on stage they preface each live song by saying, I wrote this at a strange time in my life, and 5 minutes later they're still talking and half the audience is now at the beer tent. So, yeah, or just printing the straight up lyrics of the song. But for the US release of the album, the record label made them remove the liner notes because they were too bolshy, and they got told, you know, things like, if you want to use a Tony Blair quote, we have to contact Tony Blair and make sure he approves of the album and stuff like that, which is not something you have to worry about in the UK, I think, because they're different laws.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's one of the downsides of selling out to get your music out to a bigger audience, I guess. Anyway, here are some of the quotes for the song Tub Thumping. Tub thumping is shouting to change the world, then having a drink to celebrate. It's stumbling home from your local bar when the world is ready to be put right. Don't let my unseriousness make you think this isn't serious. That's an anti-road protester from The Observer, January 97. It is essential to be drunk all the time. That's all. There's no other problem. If you do not want to feel the appalling weight of time which breaks your shoulders and bends you to the ground, get drunk and drunk again. What with wine, poetry, or being good, please yourself, but get drunk. And if now and then, on the steps of a palace, on the green grass of a ditch, in the glum loneliness of your room, you come to your drunken state abated or dissolved, ask the wind, ask the wave, the star, the bird, the clock, ask all that runs away, all that groans, all that wheels, all that sings, all that speaks what time is. And the wind, the wave, the star, the bird, the clock will tell you, it is time to get drunk. If you do not want to be the martyred slaves of time, get drunk, always get drunk, with wine, with poetry, or with being good, as you please. That's from Baudelaire in 1866. I quite like that one. And then there's another one from Charles T. Sprading, drunkenness, noun, a temporary but popular cure for Catholicism. So, yeah, that, I like that. I think that puts the song in better context than the actual lyrics, which, as you say, are basically a list of drinks, someone else singing Danny Boy, and I get knocked down, but I get up again, repeated 58,000 times in a row.
Yeah, I don't know what the worst part of it is, sort of the... I drink a whiskey drink, I drink a vodka drink, or then just sort of, oh, Danny Boy, Danny Boy, look.
I mean, I know that's a song that popularly people sing when they get drunk, but,
Yeah, look, it was either way too clever for me, and because I'm a fucking idiot, or it just sucks shit, so I don't know.
I don't know. I don't think they made their message clear with that one. I think they knew what they wanted it to mean, but I don't think it would have impacted with most of their audience. But I suppose you could say, well, they probably sold a shitload of albums off that, and maybe the people listened to the other songs on the album, which are about landlords and trade unions and all that sort of stuff.
But look, I do joke about them obviously selling out about the message, but certainly, look, they did stay the course, not musically. I think musically they changed quite a lot from sort of their earlier days to this, which I find unlistenable, to be honest, Tom. But one of the members of the group made an appearance on an American television show to promote the album, and during the interview she encouraged people who were unable to afford the album to just steal it. Just said, just steal it. If you can't afford it, just take it, go into H&M or Virgin and steal it. And her statement led to several music retailers not putting it on the shelves. If you wanted it, you had to go up to the counter and request Chumbawamba from behind the counter to buy it. And I assume nobody wanted to go up to the counter and say, I need some Chumbawamba. So it probably didn't sell many after that. So yeah, look, and they did do some sort of wacky stuff over the years. When Jason Donovan took the Face magazine to court in the UK for claiming that he was lying by denying he was gay, so he did an interview for the magazine.
Oh, okay.
I think he said he wasn't gay.
Yep.
They said you're lying, so he sued them. Chumbawamba responded by printing up hundreds of Jason Donovan queer as fuck t-shirts and giving them away. So I mean, obviously they're pranksters.
Sure.
Can you do that these days? Can you sort of print up a...
I honestly don't know if that counts as homophobic.
Well, I think it does. So I think it is. So,
but I don't know if anyone in the band is also gay. That might have been their idea or something.
I don't know. They're pranksters.
Sure.
It may be untoward. I don't know. But look, they're obviously playing a few jokes over the years. Look, 1.5 million listeners on Spotify. That's way too many for me. 2 cents for this. I don't know. So look, I think one thing I want to point out, Tom, is that when you do what they had done for their entire career, which is obviously champion-worthy causes.
Yes.
They did a lot of things to sort of support people through their music that may not have got support from the mainstream or other parts of the music industry. So you have to commend them on that and say that's pretty good. But I think that all of that goodwill was definitely undone by this song for me. So
yeah, if they hadn't gone on to EMI, then I would have said, well, unlike Aqua, I'd let them use what legal experts call the defence. Specifically, that I wouldn't have thought anybody in the band was writing this with any thought or intention that the song they were working on would become a massive international hit.
Of course, yeah.
And they were probably just fucking around. But because they did go on EMI, and this was the first single off their first album on this big international label, maybe they were trying to make a pop hit, so, it is a bit hard. I mean, I suppose you could say, well, by today's standard, it's not like it's about telling people to buy your brand of celebrity vodka or something.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, anyway.
Look, one thing I've always
You
found...
just don't like the song.
I don't like it.
Which is fine, I get it.
But also, I find that one of
way too many times.
one of the worst... I don't know whether this is just me, but I find one of the most obnoxious and annoying things that someone can say when they used to be in like a punk band or sort of like some sort of underground band is the punkest thing you can do is to write a pop song. I just always find that to be super
selling
lame.
out, yeah.
Like, because we're punk, so everyone expects us to be punk. So the punkest thing to do is to do what people don't expect us to do.
That's true.
So we write a really mainstream, catchy pop song, and that's super punk because people wouldn't expect us as punks to do that. And it's just sort of...
Awful lot of people I know who used to be progressive seem to suddenly agree the minute that they turn middle-aged that the punkest thing they could possibly do was to suddenly be a conservative fucking reactionary
People
pain in
wouldn't
the
expect
ass.
me to be
No
a
one's going to
reactionary.
expect me, of all people, to start telling kids to get off my lawn. So I guess the punkest thing you can do is support the status quo and make sure Rupert Murdoch gets tax breaks, I guess.
Yeah, look, the punkest thing you can do is write a pop song, I guess, according to a lot of people, and, myself. I think the punkest thing you can do is to remake The Legend of Baggervance in your own time, Tom, and then provide your own hip-hop soundtrack to it, which is what we're going to plan to do. We're going to get a Kickstarter happening, and that's our
we
plan.
refuse to sell out to EMI.
We will not.
Unless they offer us some money.
That soundtrack will be released on our own label, I think, so... Work the Shaft Records, I think. So very, very popular tracks coming on that. So we've had. So what was that? I said there was going to be the worst 3-song sort of collection of all
weirdly,
time.
you left Candle in the Wind out of
Oh,
that.
God,
I would have gone at least 4 songs. But yes, I see what you mean. Okay,
Sorry, Tom,
we're
sorry.
ending
So-
we're ending the year on a horrible 3-hit combo.
3-hit combo for the end of the year. So we had Aqua with Barbie Girl, then we had
How?
Chumbawamba. I just want to
Wow.
point out real quick as well that Chumbawamba, one of the other things that annoy me about this is that a friend of mine had like a PlayStation, probably the original PlayStation at this stage. Don't think PlayStation 2 is out yet. Like a soccer game.
Oh, yeah.
Remember I went round there one weekend or something and having a few beers and playing this game, and this was the title music. So whenever you'd finish playing and you'd put you'd go take a piss or you'd get another beer from the fridge, or you just stop playing for a bit just to talk to people or whatever. Probably as at a party, it would just be this. I get knocked down, but it would just play like a 15-second loop,
like
and then
the
it would
old DVD.
and then it would just
things.
keep playing over and over
Christ.
until someone played the game. And I just remember sort of like being at my friend's house and and you just hear I get knocked down for like 15 seconds, for, over and over and over, and yeah, it's pretty annoying. So look,
It's pretty bad.
oh, terrible! I can only imagine if someone was like making out in the next room or something.
God.
It was just they had to hear that over and over and over again. It's sort of not a very sexy soundtrack. So yeah, look, we've got Barbie Girl, Aqua, boom, Chumbawamba, Tub Thumping, and to end the year, Tom, Aqua again, Dr. Jones for 7 weeks.
I honestly had forgotten they had another hit.
Oh, yeah, they've got this one. Look, completing the Unholy Trilogy, obviously Aqua again. So, yes, the worst 3-song run so far is an Aqua sandwich with a filling of Chumbawamba. Now, that's not a diet I'd recommend to anyone. Fucking hell.
Sounds like something the Poison's Information
I
Centre
think-
could give people in case they drank Drano and needed to make people throw up immediately.
Look, I don't know whether the World Health Organisation have declared that carcinogenic, Tom, but I assume they will at some stage because Jesus Christ. Now, look, the question is, what is the better song? Is it this or is it Barbie Girl? It's sort of like asking, is it better to be shot out of a cannon into a volcano or just to contract sort of a serious sort of disease
I
and die?
suppose you could maybe say that with Barbie Girl that it's deliberately shit on purpose. Although, I mean, good luck using that excuse at your fucking
Is that
job.
the Room sort of the Tommy Wisehouse sort of?
Or because it sort of suits Barbie, but then you get to this song and you're like, oh no, this is just what they sound like. Like
Yeah.
this is their sound. This has got nothing to do with plastic Barbie toys or anything. This just,
Now I think this is a reference to Indiana Jones, Tom.
Oh,
so they
God.
love pop culture.
But they don't like Indiana Jones much, apparently, because they did this to him.
Yeah, they absolutely shat on him. So look, we've got this, we've got Barbie Girl, we've got an Incy Wincy Spider rap. These guys suck shit. Look,
Wow.
yeah. So I don't really know what to say about this. If you don't know the song, it's just another like low sort of tier Eurobeat sort of thing where she's just talking about Dr. Jones. So look, the song is about a boy and a girl apparently who fall in love on holiday, then separate. So she goes to the doctor to cure her love. Quote from the band: "It's very silly, but also funny." Silly but funny is one way you could describe it, Tom. Another way you could describe it is just total fucking horseshit. I don't know. I'm not really sure.
Monty Python is silly but funny. This is more, yes, like total fucking horseshit. Also, even that piss weak one sentence storyline that she's opted for there doesn't show up in the song. That's not what you would get from reading this song. It fails to even supply that one sentence worth of song structure. But,
What I can say is the guy that does the "Okay, Bobby, let's go party," I think his role has sort of been diminished in this song a bit, which is the only positive I can say because that sucks. So look, are there any lyrical highlights to this? Is there anything you can say about this that you want to sort of bring up?
Lyrics, things like
You go. No, I was just going to say, what was it?
Lyrical spotlight. Things like, come back and stay, I think about you every day, I really want you to, Dr. Jones, calling Dr. Jones, Dr. Jones, Dr. Jones, get up now, wake up now. He repeats that a dozen times throughout the song. Obviously, he read these lyrics at an early date and fell into a coma from which the only escape is the sweet release of euthanasia. But on the plus side, he won't have to hear this song again.
No, absolutely not. That's right. Look, Tom, pound for pound, who is the better artist? Do you think Aqua or the Venga Boys?
Oh my God, that is tough.
Yep.
That's tough. I mean, at least the Venga Boys had the Venga bus.
They did have the Venga bus, and they also had Boom, 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 Boom. I Want You in My Room. And we have discussed the ultimate number of booms before, I think. So
it was prime numbers.
Yeah, exactly. So look, though the reason I bring out the Venga Boys is that they are a very similar era to Aqua, but unfortunately, both of those songs. We like to party bracket the Venga bus end quote in bracket and boom 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 boom. They only make it to number 2, so we don't get the chance to talk about any of those songs.
Oh, it's a pity,
which is unfortunate.
They offer a wealth of lyrical material.
Anyone you'd like to nominate, Tom?
I just had this brought to my attention recently by Ross. I'd forgotten this one.
Yep.
This was a 1993 song by a band called Melody MC with their song Dum Da Dum, which. I mean, in theory, that sounds even stupider than Dr. Jones, and I realise I'm 4 years late or 30, depending on how you look at it, but it is an absolute banger. It really is, like, by the standards. It's got all the Eurodance ingredients. Yeah, it does. Mystery woman who may or may not be singing, mouthing lyrics. Yep. Weird guy with a flavour saver and a backwards hat up the back, dropping some fat, Netherlands ESL rhymes. But damn, it is catchy. It is very catchy. Whereas this doesn't even really qualify on that. I mean, this is less catchy than Barbie Girl. It's just bollocks.
Yeah, look, exactly, Tom. And I think that when we talk about sort of post-1994, 1995, any sort of artist that comes along at that time is fitting into that sort of post-grunge territory. I think that sort of by this time we're into post-Eurobeats territory, where I find that while these bands are certainly still embracing the Eurobeats on some level, that doesn't have the heart and soul of the original Eurobeats artists. So.
No, the real thematic depth that they brought to songs like Riding the Night, Right on Time.
Right on Time, exactly. You listen to Right on Time.
Copies like S Club 7 and Eiffel 65,
Exactly. So I think this fits into that category where, I mean, you go and listen to Dr. Jones and you go and listen to, top tier Eurobeats like Be My Lover by La Bouche or something like that. Even Melody MC, Ice MC, check that out as well if you want. Alice DJ fits into that sort of post sort of era. So listen to some of these songs and I think you'll see that, they do sound a little bit different.
Oh, absolutely. Yep. Dr. Jones is certainly no AB Logic. Watch out for the hit.
Absolutely not. Absolutely. So for sure, look, AB Logic, I wish we got to talk more about him, but the Hitman is a terrible classic.
I was kind of hoping he might get up the top, but I'm guessing he didn't crack
I don't
the
think
top
so,
10
but
in
look...
Australia. He did get radio play. We did hear that.
I think in the 90s rap time, we'll have to bring up AB Logic. So, there needs to be a full Eurobeat section in there, I think, because we definitely haven't talked about it enough. So 16 cents for this one. From Aqua. So what?
Far too
so
much.
What was that? Oh, so Barbie Girl was 23 cents. So you can get this. So yeah,
I guess
40 cents for
after,
both.
yeah.
I guess if you're going to get one, you're going to get the other. I guess, but I wouldn't bother with either. Do you have anything more to say about Aqua
No,
or Dr.
I certainly
Jones?
don't. I'm surprised I managed that much, to be honest.
Yeah, look, that sucked. And unfortunately, 7 weeks. Fucking hell.
I
And then
know.
it was also... And 3 weeks for Barbie Girl, that's 10 weeks. That's a long time. So people in 1997 will get a lot of Aqua in their lives. So yeah, look, that was pretty shitty. Songs that peaked at number 2 this year, Breaking My Stride by Unique 2.
Oh, jeez.
Was there a unique one? I don't really know. I Finally Found Someone by Barbara Streisand and Bryan
Oh,
Adams.
Christ, thank God
So,
we didn't have to talk about that.
Thank
Good Lord.
Oh, fucking oath. Like, Bryan Adams has just been soundtrack. I assume, is that from a soundtrack? I assume it is, probably, because, you know,
Yep.
like, fucking oath. Yeah, that dude, his songs got worse and worse. Breathe by The Prodigy.
Yeah, I mean, then you can see this is what dance music actually was by this point.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas fucking Aqua and Dr. Jones are playing to 16-year-olds in the kind of nightclubs that let 16-year-olds in.
Yeah, so that, I mean, that's interesting. I think that song, you know, what I would consider to be a legitimate sort of song that people
Yeah.
would listen to as not a dance pop song, but just as sort of an actual sort of
Yeah, I
modern
mean,
dance
even
song.
the Prodigy had been around for, 8 years by this point, and
Yeah. Exactly. So I mean, that got very, very close. Last Night by As Yet, AZYET.
Don't remember that.
To Become One by Spice Girls. Burn, Tina Arena. Bitch by Meredith Brooks. Remember that classic? Yep. Where Is the Love? And I Will Come to You by Hanson.
See, so they
there you
did
go.
have a couple of, follow-up hits.
Hanson almost had
Hits.
3 number ones, but yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
thank
So.
God. I don't remember either of those songs.
No, for sure. So, One More Time by Real McCoy, one of my top tier Eurobeats acts, made it to number 3.
Pony by Genuine, that still gets
Yeah,
played. That
Pony-
was brought back by Magic Mike, a couple of that appears in both. That's just perfect stripper song, that one.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a unisex stripper one, that could be either genre.
Yeah. Do You Think I'm Sexy by Entrance? We don't need to really talk
On
about that.
Vogue,
So-
one more time. Did you just say that?
oh, no, I haven't, but yeah, that's another classic.
Sorry. Don't Let Go by On Vogue and One More Time by Real McCoy.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, so much Eurodance. It's all everywhere.
Absolutely right. So it's pretty good. And then other hits, Even When I'm Sleeping by Leonardo's Bride. Do you remember that?
God,
It's
man,
terrible.
no.
Everybody, Backstreet's Back by the Backstreet Boys.
How was that number 4?
I
Come
can't
on.
believe that, yeah.
I would put that for my vote for best boy band song of all time.
Yeah, it's pretty good,
It
definitely.
still fucking kicks ass, that song.
Yep. Song 2 by Blur.
I told you,
Woohoo.
don't make me hear that ever again.
Woohoo! Number 4. Blood on the Dance Floor by Michael Jackson. There you go. And then, look, there's some other bullshit. I'm not going to read all of these, but
Nice by Wigfield. Jesus, I forgot the Wigfield story. Oh, that's right. Madonna was in that fucking Eva Peron musical and didn't release that. Oh, Semi-Charmed Life by Third Eye Blind.
oh,
The best song
Jesus
about
Christ.
boning a chick on meth. God, I'd forgotten this one. Janet Jackson featuring Q-Tip and Joni Mitchell.
Yep. The end is the beginning of the end. Yeah. Oh no, that's
Which is like a cover.
Yep.
Oh no, sorry.
So
you're
that's the
right.
next
Got
one by
Till It's
Smashing
Gone,
Pumpkins,
yeah,
yep.
which is a cover. And
Yep. Mo Money, Mo Problems by the Notorious B.I.G. R.I.P. from Beyond the Grave. Yep.
Already did.
Featuring Puff Daddy, and then Loveful by the Cardigans.
Oh, okay, that was a big hit. I think that on Triple J used to play that all the fucking time, and they had a song on. I think it was on the Romeo and Juliet soundtrack as well. So they had more
no
than
doubt.
one song. Anyway, what am I
Absolutely.
talking about now? I'm just trapping them.
So look, great, lot of hits there that didn't quite make it to number 1. But look, isn't that the case? Often, the ones that don't quite make it are better than the ones we're forced to talk about. Tom, the ARIA charts dictates what we talk about. Look, if it wasn't for what the ARIA, I wouldn't have done that rap, that Legend of Bagger Vance
Yes.
rap. It was the ARIA charts that forced me to do that. Okay, so
Oh, hang on, Ben. Sorry,
Yep.
my 16-year-old secretary is just coming in. It appears that's gone viral.
12-year-old kids everywhere are
You're
loving
going to
that.
be a
So-
star.
Absolutely. So, look, thanks for listening. We'll be back next week with 1998. Look, I can't. I'm not going to give anything away, but what I will say is that there's a solid 5 more weeks of Aqua next week. So I'll try and think of some more things to say about Aqua, or we can just completely move on from that and go, oh Jesus, the fuck. I'm already cringing at how bad next weekend. So apologies. No, they're all great songs. Everyone, please listen. It's going to be amazing. So thanks a lot.
All right. Peace
See ya.
out. Bye, guys.